they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, you know, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition some money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way. It was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't going to jump off in there with Chris. He ain't going to do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme week. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to border. It's actually going to Mexico and buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing, folks. Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Ewell, Coleman, and associated groups not, from developing Walker Place. But here's the key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button? Does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, you know, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by the Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go.
Okay, so I got to close
All
that
right,
out.
we are here. Let me close this background music. We're trying something a little different. Did I throw you for a loop there?
You did. I got to get my bearings straight because I do not know. I mean, okay, so everybody can hear us and we're live and, you know, so no more talking bad about people between you and I. We got to just talk normal, right?
No take backs now.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
well,
kind of like you're sharing your address out, but I won't even mention that.
Oh, good grief. I have taken a beating over that this past week. I mean,
it's not private information anyway, but I won't debate that.
And you were just laughing about it. You were getting enjoyment out of it.
Yes, I was. I was laughing in your misery and pain. Isn't that great? That's what friends are for.
What a pal you are. I'm glad I have you.
So we did start out a little different, folks. We started out, as you probably noticed, with the count. We just went straight to the countdown and to the ad deal. We're just trying a little different format, see if it works out better or worse. Who knows? What are we going to talk about tonight? I've got the title of the show was Benedict Arnold. What do we mean by Benedict Arnold? Whatever could that mean?
Oh boy, I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but opinions vary. Some people have drawn some conclusions from what happened regarding the last Charter Commission meeting. And, I don't know. I think we'll talk about it and we'll let everybody watching, y'all draw your own conclusion and what your opinion is.
Could be interesting. Yeah, I went through about the first 30 minutes of that Charter Commission meeting and it was just like gritting my teeth and balling up my fist. And anyway, so we'll get to all that. And I
balling
understand.
Up your fist. At least you weren't like me. I started throwing stuff. I had to. I had to literally turn my computer. I got to one point. I had to turn my computer off, get up, and walk out because I was so mad. I mean, I was literally so mad.
See, I quit throwing things a while back when I figured out the things that I throw and break, I have to pay for to fix.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. So I see in our notes the Bossier Parish School Board. What is the Bossier Parish School Board up to? They don't make it in the news that often.
Well, I don't, we probably don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole tonight because there's a lot to unpack there, but I was going down the rabbit hole of one of Jeff Sadow's articles over on Bossier Views. We recommend everybody go read them, even when we don't always agree 100%. Anyway, I was going down one of his article rabbit holes that he published about the Bossier Parish School Board and these ESAs, these educational savings accounts, and this bill that's going through Baton Rouge or might be going through Baton Rouge or whatever the deal is. And I came across, Sadow mentioned in his article that Jason Rowland had some interesting comments in one of the Bossier Parish School Board's YouTube videos. And so I went and checked it out. We'll play that here in a minute. We'll just see, because it involves segregation of all things. Imagine that. They're going back to segregated schools. Did you know that, Duke?
Wait a minute. I have not looked at this video, but you have piqued my interest now. I am dying to see. So you're telling me the Bossier Parish School Board is going backwards?
We're going backwards. We're going to segregation.
Okay. So but I'm sure the cheerleader was there, right? She was there.
Yes, the head cheerleader in charge was there moderating the panel of guests. And so I've got about a minute clip of that. We'll play it. We'll go on through the topics and then we'll start by playing that video. Y'all will get a kick out of this.
I can see now the school teacher union lobby is about to berate us. Here we go. This is fixing to be,
that woman, she nearly had she nearly had a stroke the last time when I did the 40%, which I'll remind you, Jeff Sadow agreed with my math in that she nearly had a stroke on channel 3 over the whole 40%. If she knows we're going back to segregation, she might just unfortunately figuratively stroke out. I don't wish her to stroke out actually. I do not wish that upon anybody. Let me be clear.
You're trying to stay out of Facebook jail. See, I see.
I am trying. See, I've got till
moderating your tongue. I get it.
I've got till 2:33 a.m. tonight, and I'm officially supposed to be out of Facebook timeout if I don't get reported again. It's like an endless vicious cycle.
You and those daggum bass fishermen. You guys just, y'all are worse than politicians. I'm gonna tell you.
Now, let me say this, and then we'll actually move on to the rest of the topics. We've done over 200 political shows between Bossier Watch, Louisiana Watch. I've put out videos. We have called pretty much everybody in Bossier and a lot of people across the state out. Made all these political posts. I've never been in Facebook jail or even in a Facebook timeout.
We even talked about derogatory slang that we didn't even know existed.
Exactly. I mean, we've quoted the Urban Dictionary on this show, and I've never been in a Facebook timeout. Yet, interestingly, I stir the pot, rightfully so, I might add, with the local fishing community and high school fishing. And magically, all of a sudden, I'm putting a Facebook timeout for the first time since, I don't know, when did I start my Facebook account? 2010?
I don't know, but the school board thing. I'm glad that you brought that up. I mean, Jeff Sadow, boy, he's needling in the right places, because last show we had some notes built in. That Jeff Sadow, he had an article regarding the Bossier City Charter Commission, and he was dead on the money. We didn't get to it because the last show ran kind of long. And I think we're going to try to cover some of that and make the points that he was trying to make in the article, because I think that it is relevant going forward. And we will talk about, the term limits petition, where it stands today and where it doesn't stand today. And I think that also plays into the Benedict Arnold thing that we put out in the show notice.
Yeah, and of course I was busy doing caricatures again with that. If y'all didn't notice what the graphic has, the little Easter egg sort of, well, it's not really Easter egg that the graphic has in it. All right, let's start off with, I want to roll this video showing, this is absolute irrefutable proof that Jason Rowland, superintendent of the Bossier Parish School Board, thinks we're going to revert back to segregated schools. Let's listen.
Lower socioeconomic income students may struggle to find a place. And so it'll be selective admission. And in the purest sense, Mr. Corley and I, Bossier and DeSoto are still under degrees. And in my opinion, the ESAs are just another form of segregation. And it's a modern form of segregation in how we are dividing education across Northwest Louisiana.
Did you notice the other two superintendents kind of squirm a little bit when he mentioned the word segregation?
Well, I got to tell you, I was noticing the cheerleader bobbing her head up and down. It's almost as if she had coached him. I mean, it's like he's looking at her and she's like, "Yeah, you're saying what I told you to say. Yeah, you're doing good. You're doing good."
Go
back to the substance of what he's saying.
Well, all right. First of all,
you might need to play that. You might need to play that again for people.
Let's play it again, Sam.
I think that's worthy of people hearing that twice. Y'all need to hear that. This is the superintendent of Bossier Parish, the Bossier Parish school system, and what he's saying. Y'all need to listen close to this.
Here we go.
Lower socioeconomic income students may struggle to find a place. And so it'll be selective admission. And in the purest sense, Mr. Corley and I, Bossier and DeSoto are still under degrees. And in my opinion, the ESAs are just another form of segregation. And it's a modern form of segregation in how we are dividing education across Northwest Louisiana.
Modern form of segregation if you have an educational savings account. Now, I also want to note, for full context, you can go to the Bossier Parish School Board's YouTube channel and watch this whole video. I've got a link to it, but I'll put it up later in the comments or as a standalone deal. I took a minute out of this, but a full minute, so I mean it's not out of context or anything. Why is it that when you don't funnel or launder the state and federal funding through the Bossier Parish School Board, why is it that they use keywords like segregation? Why is it that they do that, Duke? Why does all money have to flow through the Bossier Parish School Board? A ridiculous amount of, and look, I'm all for funding education, but a ridiculous amount goes to that very, very top-heavy entity.
Well, why does he feel that he's got to go to the extreme of claiming that someone trying to change the status of education in Louisiana is modern day segregation? Why does he feel so,
Why does he feel he has to go to that extreme to say that? I mean, he might as well just say, why doesn't he just jump up there and say, don't say this is modern day segregation. Why don't you just say this is modern day racism? Why don't you just say that? Is he?
Because that might get him flagged on YouTube, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, but it works. It works because you just saw look, all you got to do is say, oh, it's racism everywhere. That was the claim in Caddo Parish. We just saw that in the sheriff's race. You just saw it. It's racism. Here we go again.
Yeah.
I mean, but he's using different terminology. But why is he having to do that? He's having to do it because it's Bossier, but he's saying this is modern day segregation. And for everybody that may not know, I can tell you, I looked up one of the statistics. Maybe this is where he's coming from. Minority enrollment in public school in Louisiana accounts for 57% of all enrollment.
Wow.
57%.
57%. Yeah. Okay.
But
I wouldn't doubt that.
But what started this? Why is he even commenting? Why are they even having this roundtable? I mean, discussion. What brought this on?
Well, to be honest, I didn't go that far down the rabbit hole. I just started reading Jeff's article on Bossier Views and then was like, went and found that video and found that part of it. And so I think we need to do a little, we've been talking about turning our attention towards the school board and the police jury for a while. We've been, kind of preoccupied with the city council and the term limits and the charter commission and all that. So I think we need to do a deeper dive into the school board, and in the next couple of weeks, let's take a look at what's really going on over there again.
Well, look, so you and I both we hadn't dug into this issue, but those comments really caught us off guard. It prompted us today to do a little research, not a complete research, but just so talking generally. Let's just talk out loud here. Does and people in the comments, I see a lot of people talking, a lot of people making comments. How do you feel about education? Do you feel like Louisiana's education has been such that we should continue, or we should put more money into the existing education system and the way that it's going, or should we try to change it? Should we try to make it better? I can tell you, you just pulled up. Go ahead.
The wind chimes are going off. The wind must be blowing outside.
My phone's blowing up from what we're talking about.
Right. So look, the question's simple. Do you feel that we, and I'm saying collectively all of us in Bossier Parish, spend enough money on education? And I would challenge you before you answer to make sure you know your facts, because I dug up a lot of stuff back in 2019 and all I got to do is go update my numbers. But do you think that we spend enough, not enough? Is the school board still too top heavy? Are we paying teachers enough? Do they actually get raises? I mean, all those sorts of questions come into play.
Well, what's going on, Rex? And for those of you watching, what is getting everybody wound up is we are seeing in Baton Rouge right now, with the election of Jeff Landry, we are seeing a change. We are seeing, I mean, some changes that are taking place that have never happened in Louisiana. It's changing at a rapid pace. And, I heard a lawyer say the other day that Louisiana is being destroyed. Louisiana and, the MFP and the education system, it's all being destroyed. It's all being tore apart. And then you've got the insurance debate between the lawyers and the insurance lobby. And we're going to get to that as well here in a little bit. But that's what's happening here, is because you have a lot of bills. You have some bills that are coming forward to change the funding, the way money is spent, and the public school education system. I would say the public school lobby or the public school union, obviously Jason Rowland, I'm going to say, is advocating for public schools and its existence, and they're threatened. They're threatened by the changes. what's that old saying? Change through evolution, not revolution. I say it and have said it a ton of times. And to some extent, it's right. But we have not been changing. We've been in Louisiana treading water, maintaining the status quo. And now we have a governor that is wanting to change things, and he's wanting to freaking get it changed quick. And we're changing through revolution. People are reacting. The school lobby is reacting. The insurance and the lawyer lobby, who has controlled everything, they're reacting. And you know, the education system, okay, if you're an educator, I think we need to preface how we comment on this, because like, look, I know that there's a lot of good people in education, a lot of good teachers.
Yeah,
There's a
there
lot
is.
of good people. Their motivation is they want to be a good teacher. They want their students to learn. They're not crooked people. They're
No,
not
they're
bad
not.
people. The same as there's not bad lawyers, there's not bad insurance people, there's good ones. But the thing is, for every one of the good ones, there's probably two bad ones. Two bad apples in the mix.
Yeah, you know, it's like we said back during the 2019, you know, attempted tax hike by the Bossier Parish School Board, which I would remind everybody they lost basically 75% to 25%, voted against that 40% tax hike. But even then, I think all of us that were not for that tax hike at that time were absolutely for being able to get our teacher pay on par with the rest of the country or surrounding areas, up to snuff, so to speak. So I don't think, you know, I agree with you, Duke. I think by and away the vast majority of teachers are in there for the right reasons, and they're there to help educate the students and teach kids and do all the right things. Sure. Are there a few bad apples? Yes, absolutely. But I will say again, I just go back to my mantra of the school board, the Bossier Parish School Board, is top heavy. It was top heavy in 2019, and I'm quite sure it's no different now.
Yeah, and to jump out there, fundamental change in education, because so first off, to jump out there and to say that modern day, segregation is wanting to change education in Louisiana, you're basically promoting modern day segregation. That's not fair. You're automatically using a political ploy to basically say, racism. That's what you're doing. You're attacking this, saying you're saying it without saying it. And that's not right. Now, to give you the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say that, okay, if your charge of trying to change modern day education, is racism, where were we before you made this charge? Were we doing good? Were things on track? Were things, the way they should have been? Well, I would contend that they haven't. Louisiana ranks in the bottom of all states in the country. Yeah. I mean, we've been at the bottom. I think the best we've ranked is like 47th. 47th, right. Rex.
Well, and so I've got a screenshot here. And so I would encourage everybody, because we're, fans of reading Jeff Sadow's stuff, go to bosierviews.substack.com. Read Jeff's article. The title of the article, I had it up just a minute ago, but the title of the article is Bossier Schools Flunk ESA Test. And I got to give Sadow credit here. He literally referred to them or alluded to Jason Rowland and the members of the school board being ignoramuses. I haven't heard that word in a long time.
Yeah, that dates back to high school days.
Yes, it does. And so I highlighted the first part of that. And he's saying that because apparently the school board met in a special session, which cost the taxpayers a little bit of money, to pass a resolution opposing HB 745 by Representative Julie Emerson. That bill, according to Jeff, would create education savings accounts, these ESAs, that cause segregation, according to Jason Rowland, that could be used to pay for educational expenses, including attendance of non-public schools, but not homeschool, phased in over 3 years, blah, blah, blah. So you can go read the article. And full disclosure, I've not read HB 745 yet and gone down that rabbit hole. Again, I just kind of started. I thought we would mention it tonight, and I wanted to highlight the definition of ignoramus, an utterly ignorant person, a dunce. Jason Rowland, Jeff Sadow has alluded that you might be a dunce. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, look. So why did they find the need to go out there and to basically claim racism in trying to change the way education is done in Louisiana when we are ranking we continue. I mean, we've made a lot of changes, and we still continue to rank in the bottom of education across the country.
Hold on. But you're wrong, Duke.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Correct me then.
Our good friend Ryan Haygood says Louisiana has scored better lately. Well, I think we're 41.
Okay, Ryan, we may be making some improvement on the edges here, but maybe I'm wrong, and maybe my Halton math isn't working out for me so well, but I still think that puts us in the bottom half of the country.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't long to be in the bottom half or just at the top of the bottom half. I long to be at the top. Right. If I'm going to be in the game, I want to be at the top. I don't want to aspire to just be middle of the road. I want to be the best. That's what I want.
So we've got a comment from where did I just say that they were from? Ponchatoula? Listening from Ponchatoula. Anyway, says education is big business. My wife can teach first graders how to read. Her other job is submitting data to our local school district and on to Bessie. SPED, S-P-E-D, inclusion is a huge problem too. So, yeah, I mean, we want to hear from some more folks that are either teachers or spouses of teachers or whatever. I look at it from the top side view. Again, going back to the school board has been top heavy for a long time deal. But we also want to hear from some teachers, some people that are down in the trenches, so to speak, that, are actually dealing with the kids and all your administrative duties as teachers. What sort of things are you having to do that is a complete waste of our kids' time, the parents' time, and our educational tax dollars? Duke, I did some investigating. Do you know what the beef fund is?
Tell me about the beef fund.
As in Wendy's, where's the beef? That's a fund. I'll give the very basic summary version of it. A fund that was set up, I think back in Foster Campbell may have done it, but I can't remember. But anyway, so that the casinos have to pay in a percentage of their tax dollars into this fund that is set aside for specific things for education. There's something like, I don't know, $25, $30 million, whatever it is in this fund that literally just sits there. Now, it's legislatively kind of locked in place, but it would only take some legislation to kind of unlock that fund and be able to utilize some of those tax dollars. So let me know what you think about the beef funds, or do a little digging into that. BEEF, beef funds.
Well, if anybody... Ryan Haygood says Kay Brumley's doing some good. Yeah, I would agree with that. But if anybody disputes the rankings, go do a search yourself. Now, what I would tell you is that I did. I mean, because this wasn't on my radar, and right before I got home, I did a little quick search. I was trying to look for some statistics on education in Louisiana because I wanted to. I mean, look, I don't want to criticize if I'm wrong, if we're doing better and all, but some of the things that I saw that made me kind of wonder, why all of a sudden are we having such a reaction to changing the way education is done in Louisiana. Why would Jason Rowland go so far as to go to segregation or to racism? Because that's what it is. I mean, he didn't say racism; he said segregation. But I mean, that means racism to me.
Right.
But why is it? Well, since COVID, there has been a flight of people, the statistics show it, a greater flight than ever before away from public education to homeschooling and to private schooling. The bottom line is they're losing their people. They're losing, the public. The public on their own is choosing another method of education. They're giving up on public school education. That is the why. That's what this is about.
Well, all right. So I think we need to do a deeper dive into this. I mean, this is something that warrants, I don't know, maybe we cover a little bit of Bossier Parish education on each show. Maybe we start dedicating a 10 to 15 minute segment of each show and get back up to speed and turn our attention towards Bossier Parish School Board and education in general around here. What say you, Mr. Lowry?
Yeah, I think so. I think so, definitely. I think you mentioned a bill earlier. I think you said Julie Emerson had the bill. In fact, Julie is a friend of mine, and I think that we could probably get Julie to come on here and we could talk a little bit more in depth about that. If everybody watching, if y'all want to hear a little more about that, I think we could do that.
That would be very interesting. Get it straight from the author or sponsor of the bill's mouth, so to speak. Yeah.
And look, if Jason Rowland wants to come on and challenge us, I'm fine with that too. I would love to have that debate, and it'll be respectful.
Right. Yeah. We treat everybody with respect, even if we disagree. We all our guests we do treat with respect and let them have their say.
Because I would acknowledge that as he public school people in education, they have a lot of restraints. They have a lot of limitations that they can't control, and the rules of the game per se that they have to operate under that almost makes their job impossible. I mean, I don't know how they do some of the things and how they manage some of the things. Some of the things they have to tolerate and allow kids to do these days and time. I mean, when you and I were in school, I mean, me and Halton, I go back to the day of Harold Harlan, and I'm not going to say that teacher's name, but he would walk around with a screwdriver, and if you got out of line, I mean, you would incur the wrath of the head of that screwdriver on your head. I mean, spit on the if you were chewing skull or some crap like that, and you spit on the sidewalk, and somebody saw you do it, and it got reported, you'd be cleaning the sidewalks of the school for the whole day. Today, the administrators of school or the principals, they can't punish kids.
No, they can't. Look,
they're limited.
I think I've told this story before. I'll give you the short version of it. But, I was, for the most part, a model student. And, I really didn't like to get in trouble that much in school. But I did get spanked or paddled twice while I was in school, of all things. And the choice was either take the licks or you go home and we call your parents. And, well, no, I didn't want my mom and daddy to find out that I'd acted up in school or done something wrong. So I willingly took the licks, but you can't do that these days.
And Jessica Langley Maddox and Carrie H. Waldron, I agree with both of I agree with them both. Government being involved in education and control, totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that. Let's abolish the Department of Education, federal government. Let's abolish it, get rid of it. Let's let it go back to the way it was in the founding of this country.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Okay, so we will start dedicating some time on each segment to get us ramped back up to speed over the next several weeks on Bossier Watch with education, and specifically the Bossier Parish School Board and the Bossier Parish school system. All right. let's see. Christopher James Norris has been commenting. He says, look at what happened over here in Caddo. The three principals, including the Louisiana Principal of the Year and a bookkeeper, were arrested for stealing money. There's always some bad apples in every pack of apples. All right. What else? There was a PEC meeting.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
All right.
Chris Norris, is that why Gorey announced today that he's bailing and going back to Dallas or to Texas? I haven't heard what Chris Norris is talking about, but I did hear a report about, the Caddo Parish school administrator is leaving his post and resigning and going back to Dallas or wherever he come from over there.
Interesting.
Are those related?
We'll have to dig into that for an episode of Louisiana Watch. Don't forget, most Thursday nights, we're doing Louisiana Watch, which will be more Caddo Parish, statewide, regional type stuff as well. We may need to do a little digging there, Mr. Lowry. All right. Next topic.
Yeah, where are we going now? I see something in the comments in the notes about Gatti versus SeaBass. Oh, wait a minute. Was I supposed to say that?
You can say it. It's fine. I got to click over to my notes and make sure. I'm going to actually read the notes tonight.
Val Baker saying jumping ship. Are we going fishing for SeaBass?
Yeah, I don't think so. All right, so let me switch screens again. Let me get rid of this. Let me pull up Gaddy's
Are we going there or are we going somewhere else?
We're gonna get to the SeaBass here in a minute because I have something entertaining from y'all. This is a post. This was a post from Mr. Insurance himself, former Senator Ryan Gatti, now public speaker Ryan Gatti. Anyway, he's been a good friend over the years. So, just to bring everybody up to speed, if you hadn't been watching or paying attention, several years ago, Ryan Gatti came to talk to the Bossier Republican Executive Committee, the PEC as we affectionately call it, and did a presentation on insurance. And then, of course, following that up, our favorite person and favorite legislator, Alan Seaball, came up to counter Gatti's deal and did a presentation to the PEC as well. And so there's been this battle going on between those two factions, which are basically lawyers. Well, really, it's lawyers versus lawyers because they're all lawyers. Anyway, I digress. These two different factions between... I don't know. I'm just digging a deeper hole.
Wait, what was that famous Roman or whatever that had the quote about something about the lawyers would be the first? Anyway, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah, the lawyers for the lawyers. Well, this is getting even deeper. And the lawyers for the insurance companies. Let's put it that way.
But the good thing about lawyers is they don't take offense to lawyer jokes.
No, they don't. They get paid anyway, so they don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. They enjoy
getting paid really well. Yeah. All right. So anyway, here is Gatti's post. So he says, legislative alert, this bill by a local state senator will allow homeowners insurance companies to raise your rates or cancel your policy after you paid their high premiums for 3 years. Big win for insurance. Big loss for your budget process. Removes hard-fought protections for homeowners and has no promise to reduce rates. The bill by none other than Bass, I guess that's Adam Bass, would repeal Louisiana's unique 3-year rule. And I find that interesting, the word unique. 3-year rule, which prohibits insurance companies from raising deductibles, canceling, or not renewing homeowner policies that have been in effect for more than 3 years. Gatti predicts that if you make a claim after paying into the company for more than 3 years, you will be canceled. You'll be hard-pressed to find affordable coverage. Think hailstorm, roof damage, or wind damage. If you have a mortgage, you'll be forced to carry high premium coverages. This bill includes no mandatory rate reduction if passed, a lose-lose proposition for insurance payers, but a win-win for those dastardly insurance premium collectors. Call now and demand your legislator request actuarial reports from the Commissioner of Insurance on these bills before shoving them down our collective throats. Drafting a bill on insurance without an actuary report is like building a bridge without a civil engineer. It will end up hurting someone unless a ship runs into it. Well, it doesn't matter if civil engineer or not then. Okay, all joking aside, does he have a point here? I mean, what say y'all?
Well, let me chime in here and say something. Okay, so probably here is the problem. I mean, I don't think anybody watching this show, or even you, Rex, I don't think any of y'all, none of us disagree. We've got an insurance problem.
Yes.
Everybody raise their hand. Do we all think we have an insurance problem? Do we all agree with that? I think even the lawyers will agree. We have an insurance problem.
Yeah.
We have it. But whose fault is it? That's where we all disagree.
Right.
The lawyers say it's the insurance companies. The insurance companies say it's the lawyers. And, all of the regular people that are not lawyers or insurance people, we're all the ones caught in the middle. And we get the lawyers telling us one thing. We get the insurance people telling us one thing. And then ultimately, all of our eyes glaze over and we all are like, oh, hell, somebody please take care of this problem. I don't want all of this headache. Y'all just make a decision.
It's infinite shades of gray. That's the problem. And not 50 shades of gray, infinite shades of gray. I once had one of my mentors told me, he said, look, and I don't know where he got this quote originally. I'd have to look it up and see. Maybe he made it up. He said, there is no right and wrong, nor black and white, only infinite shades of gray. So I agree. It's not completely the trial lawyer's fault. It's not completely the insurance company's fault. I would argue it's all of that plus the government's fault. I don't really know what the solution is. To me, it's beyond Thunderdome now.
Well, I mean, okay, what I do know is everything that we've done so far, guess what? It hadn't worked. Everything that we've done to this point hasn't worked. And I've got good friends on both sides of this argument. And, my contention is here. This is what I say. This is my position. This is what I think. What I think is that, ultimately one side has to win out completely all the way, and they get their complete way. And we steer the ship all the way in that direction. And you know what? If it runs aground, hits rocks and sinks, obviously we know that wasn't the way we needed to go. Then we know we need to turn around and go back the other direction. And I think that's where we're at.
Well, I think I've got a better solution, Mr. Gatti.
Okay.
You know what that? I mean, Mr. Lowry, Mr. Gatti. You know what I think the solution is? I think we need to have a debate on this show, and I think we need to invite former Senator Ryan Gatti, and I think we need to invite Senator Adam SeaBass on the show.
Well, it's funny that you would say that, and that you would. Okay, so I am entertained by this. Is that an avatar? Is that what I would call it?
Close enough. Look, it's a combination between Adam Bass, between a sea bass, and between a horse, as in Seabiscuit.
You caught me by the short hairs here. I don't know what to say about this, but okay.
AI is a wonderful thing. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, with that said, so what I would tell you is that I had occasion to have a conversation with Gatti about this because of that post he made. I did have a conversation, and of course, look, Gatti is Gatti. Gatti is always trying to steer things to his side, and he's making arguments, and he's made some good arguments, but he's got some that I'm suspect on, and we argue, but I would tell you, I said, you know what? I said, look, Gatti, I said, we just need to have a debate. I said, I'll tell you what, here's what we'll do. I said, if you're so opposed to this legislation and the direction things are going, me and Rex will moderate a debate. You come on. I said, even you pick somebody, a cohort, you pick somebody to help you debate. And I said, we'll put it out there to the other side. Let's have a debate. Me and Rex will moderate it. Y'all go at it with the facts. We'll moderate it and make sure that it's square. You know what Gatti said?
What'd he say?
Bring it on. He said, I don't need nobody.
I'll be your hucklebearer.
He said, bring it on. He said,
I was just watching Tombstone last night.
He said, send the invites out to whoever. He said, wherever, set it up. I'll debate whoever on this insurance thing. It don't matter.
Well, so that would be interesting. So because we've had them kind of separately. Again, Gatti came to the PEC meeting, and then the next PEC meeting, SeaBass showed up. So we've had them kind of in separate corners. Now we add Adam Bass into the mix, or Adam SeaBass, as we're affectionately referring to him now. Maybe we get them all three together, maybe even in the same room, or they can come in remotely. Either way.
Yeah. So what I would say is that to Adam Bass, because Ryan Gatti called out Adam Bass, he named him. If Adam is willing to debate, Ryan and SeaBass from, the past PEC meeting and that debate, I mean, they went at it then. If SeaBass wants to partake in this, look, we will moderate this. I think I don't know that it matters, because I think that the legislature and the governor, it's going to go one direction, and we're going to see whether one side of this issue works or doesn't work. But what I do think is that this puts people on record. Right. You took this position, defend it. And I'm not taking a side in this, because here's the thing. I'm like everybody else. I really don't know which way is right.
I don't have the solution for this either. I don't even I won't even begin to speculate on the solution.
Let me give you a point, Rex. Let me jump out here. And I hate to, because this is somewhat going to carry Gatti's water a little bit, but Gatti makes a good point. Gatti says, and I say this to everybody watching, Gatti says, medical malpractice. He says, what is one of your family members' life worth? Because medical malpractice, is limited to a $500,000, limit, a cap.
Right. Yeah.
Is that right? I mean, is
somebody's arm gets cut off? How do you value that at $500,000?
And I got to tell you, when you stop and you think about that, and you say, okay, if my wife had a surgery, or if I was Robert Wright or whatever, and I had a surgery, and the doctor did something bad, is their life worth $500 if they were negligent, something of that? I don't know. I got to tell you, that makes me stop and think a little bit. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, I don't know.
So let me add my 2 cents into that. Putting that cap on there would only benefit one entity only. That'd be the insurance company.
I mean, but does it also promote lawsuits at the same time? I mean,
well, yeah, but then you have a judge and a jury of peers to make those decisions, rather than legislators and insurance companies and literal lawyers for insurance companies and literal insurance agents representing insurance companies. And look, I'm not faulting Adam Bass and saying he's done anything wrong yet. We want to, we're poking a little fun with the SeaBass thing, but Adam's, a pretty good guy. But we need to have this debate. We need to have this discussion.
Well, and Ryan Haygood, he made that comment. He said homeowners insurance doesn't need tort reform like car insurance. They are different animals, and, car insurance. I mean, I hear there's $1 million caps on that. Why is there a difference? I mean, that's a question that bothers me. Why is there a difference between medical malpractice and a car insurance cap of $1 million, 500,000 on one and $1 million on the other? why is there a difference? That doesn't compute to me as a layperson. I don't understand that.
Yeah. All right. So I want to encourage everybody to go to Louisiana Watch on YouTube. Subscribe to it, by the way. And look for show 103, Deputy of Insurance, when we had guest John Ford on. He's I'm probably mistitling him, but basically one of the deputy insurance commissioners. And about the 1744 mark, we're not going to play it, but we went briefly kind of into the homeowners insurance and all that. We didn't go very far in depth. So I think it would be an interesting discussion to have Gatti, Adam Bass, and Seba on. If we could pull that off, that would be a really, really good time.
Yeah, and to make it fair, I would think that the bass or the SeaBass, Gatti would need to have somebody to help him. I mean, because that wouldn't be fair and balanced if
he might be the Wyatt Earp, the last man standing of the whole deal.
I mean, Gatti said he didn't care. He said, bring them all. That's what he said. I mean, and I told him, I said, I'm going to, you said it. I'm going to say it on the show tonight. I'm going to tell the public. I'm going to tell everybody, you said you didn't care. Bring it on. And, here we are.
So let's talk about the PEC meeting. I didn't even realize, let's shift gears. I didn't even realize that there was going to be a PEC meeting last night. Did y'all advertise that thing? Aren't you the chairman of the PEC or whatever?
Well, okay. So the last PEC, we got to understand we had an election. The last PEC, we had a lot of chairmen in the last PEC. I mean, it was like a
duck, duck, goose.
Yeah, it was a revolving chair. I ended up the PEC, and we concluded that last PEC. I don't know how productive we were. We delineated where people stood on issues, but so we had a new election. PEC met last night, and I was fortunate to get the blessing of all of the newly elected members of the PEC to be the chairman again. And I appreciate that opportunity, and I thank them for their confidence in me. I didn't want to be the chairman under the circumstances that we were in before. And I look forward to being able to be it this time around, maybe not under the same circumstances.
Since you're the chairman of the PEC, you're under the gun tonight. I get to interview you real quick, Mr. Chairman of the Bossier Parish Republican Executive Committee.
Okay.
Yes. Get comfortable there for a second. Get adjusted.
Before you even ask the question, I mean, it was freaking Easter. It was not. I mean, it was a holy day. It was not some kind of stupid transgender stuff. And that offends anybody as the Bossier Parish PEC chairman. Take it how you want to take it. I don't care. And if Mike Johnson disagrees, then go get consolation from Joe Biden.
Yeah, apparently, for those of you that don't know, apparently Biden declared it some kind of transgender day, I guess Sunday, Easter, when we actually celebrate Easter. So, all right.
I make no bones about it. I am limited government. I am a conservative. And if Mike Johnson disagrees with that, I don't care if he affiliates or identifies as a Republican or not. And the other PEC chairman, the other PEC members, if y'all find my comments offensive, remove me. I'm fine with that. I don't. I am not going to hide. I believe what I believe. I believe that we should have limited government. That's what I believe. And I don't believe we should be standing with freaking Democrats and transgenders.
So to quote Ryan Haygood, who wants to sponsor the insurance debate if we have it, Mr. Fancy Pants Chairman, what does the PEC do? What is the purpose of the Bossier Republican Executive Committee? What does the PEC do?
Okay, so bottom line, and I see one of my other PEC members, David Womack, and I'm sorry, David. I mean, look. Fate would have it that I would be doing a show with my cohort, Rex Moncrief, talking about politics. Fate would also have it that I would be, politically active. I mean, it's just the way the world works. And I'm just living. That's the way it is. But here's the deal. So the Republican Party has these ideals. These ideals are that it's limited government. It's that you should be able to make decisions for yourself, not have government making those decisions for you. And, that's what I believe in. That's what in 2016 I was on the bylaws committee or whatever with the most conservative platform in the history of the Republican Party. I was a part of that at the delegate to the National Convention. So being the chairman of Bossier, regardless of who the Speaker of the House is, I don't care. If that jackwagon doesn't subscribe to the ideals of the Republican Party, I'm going to call his name out and I'm going to say it. If Republicans don't like that, they can remove me. That's fine. But I'm about trying to promote limited government, staying out of your lives as much as possible, and, making what government does do, it does it to your benefit, not to hurt you. I don't know. What else? I'm sorry. You got me all wound up. We wasn't even this ain't even in the notes.
That was a great stump speech, but you didn't answer the question, so I'll try to do it for you. As a former member of the PEC, I think I still have my certificate up there.
Okay.
Anyway, so basically what the PEC does is have meetings and have discussions about Republican type things. Occasionally, the PEC will endorse candidates. There are some policies there as far as endorsements go. Occasionally, we'll even vote to censure a Republican candidate and do other things like that.
Yeah, that's right. So tax initiatives, politicians that want to identify as a Republican, a parish executive committee should be, vetting those things. We kind of, your Republican women organizations, they have the meet and greets and it's a lot of the friendly stuff. Your Bossier or your parish executive committees, they kind of get down in the weeds on the issues. They debate the issues, the pros and the cons, and they try to make a decision on things by debating all these things and then put what their conclusion was on an issue or a candidate to support or oppose to try to help people who believe in the Republican ideals to which way to go on things. Try to help them to decide which direction to go. A lot of people don't have time. And I'm going to say this, I think that's an excuse. It's your responsibility to inform yourself. It's not the responsibility of somebody else, but there's only so much time in the day. We understand that. And some of us, like David Womack, who is a good guy, he spends an extraordinary amount of time digging himself into issues, trying to educate himself on stuff, and, try to make an informed decision of how to inform people of the right way to go.
Also want to point out that the PEC, both the Democratic side, because there is a Democratic PEC, and the Republican are both enabled by statute. Whereas like the Republican women, those are private organizations. So the actual PECs, Democratic and Republican, are quasi-public organizations for each party. Now, so I got to ask you, Mr. Fancy Pants Chairman, I really like that title. Thank you, Ryan Haygood. I'm going to change the title of your name to Mr. Fancy Pants instead of Duke. Anyway, do you encourage people to attend the PEC meetings, the general public, and observe what's going on?
Historically, we haven't promoted the PEC meetings and public attendance like maybe we should. I would agree. You got to think that we are kind of an organization that is, I hate to say growing, but it is growing, and we need to get more public involvement. I mean, but I got to tell you, I think it's a little bit of a reach because if people won't go to a city council meeting or to a police jury meeting, I mean, why would they go to a Republican parish executive committee meeting? You know,
That's true.
I hate to say this, but the majority of the public, they just want people to make decisions for them. And you know what? If you're of the ideology that you would just rather not concern yourself and you just want people or government or other people to make the decision for you, I want you to stop and think about what type of government that is that you're wanting there. What is it that you're saying to yourself that you just want somebody else to make that decision for you and tell you what to do? I mean,
Well, yeah, that's a good point. And I just showed that comment that Shane Cheatham had. He says, need to get Republican groups in the schools like FCA. They need to hear from Republican leaders. Make it happen, Mr. Fancy Pants Chairman.
I agree with you, Shane Cheatham, but I don't agree with that, segregation that, trying to change the education system is modern day segregation. I don't know that that is going to be well received in the education system.
That's
I
true.
love,
It may not be.
I love my brother Shane, but I think the rubber will meet the road on that issue if I went advocating that, we need to change.
Yeah. David Womack says the meetings are more casual, and yes, they will come as they do in town hall meetings. So, Mr. Womack, like you, is encouraging the public to attend, but just realize it's, y'all aren't voting on, tax issues and millages per se, just what the overall direction of the Republican Party is. Fun fact. Let's see. Mike Johnson, Walk on Water, is a former member. Ryan Gatti is a former member. And so is Bobby Evanston, our tax assessor, is a former member of the PEC before my time.
As well as City Attorney Richard Ray and Appeals Court Judge Jeff Thompson and future candidate for Louisiana Supreme Court. He just swore us in, Jeff Cox. So, but there's a little bit of a rub there. That's another discussion for Louisiana Watch. But
okay. We'll delve into that later. All right. Anything exciting happened at the PEC meeting that we need to discuss?
No, and David Womack's right. I mean, look, if you're a Republican, and we encourage everybody to get involved, we're going to try to promote, folks to come to the PEC meeting. Even if you're not a Republican, if you're a Democrat or an independent, let's say you're on the fence. I mean, come to a PEC meeting. Come and you know what? Just, hey, I tell you what, as Republicans, we want to hear what's your problem with the Republican Party, because a lot of us, we serve in the Republican State Central Committee, and kind of that information funnels its way, through the veins of the party, and can maybe ultimately make some changes in opinion. Anyway, I'm not going to go there. I was going to say something else, but I'm not. I was going to talk about marijuana. Another rabbit trail. We're not going to go there.
Y'all are smoking weed at those PEC meetings, huh, Duke?
Oh, yeah, baby.
Mr. Fancy Pants. All right, I'll change your name back.
And Chris Norris says, okay, let me know where the next meeting is. I'm on the way.
He's on the way.
All right. Where are we going now? Are we going to West Marriott? Are we going to...
Well, let's spend about 5 minutes or so on West Marriott, and then let's dig into the last part of the show and the main part, which is going to be the term limits. The Bossier City Charter Commission, and specifically term limits as mentioned during the recent Charter Commission meeting, among other things. So here's what I want to say about the West Marriott case. We hadn't heard much from Wes or about that lawsuit that both hearing that you and I both sat in on for 2 days. We were literally there at that hearing, and the way Richard Ray described that hearing to the city council is not exactly how I remember that hearing happening. But now we do have the full transcript of that hearing, And it's going to be interesting reading to go through that full transcript and take a look at exactly what was said. We also have a copy, I'll be posting it on Bossier Watch later, of the judgment against Wes. Remember, he was the plaintiff basically turned defendant at the 26 JDC. Did you know that he has to pay $500? Not to the bar association, not to the court or the clerk of court or however that typically works. Oh no, he's got to pay the $500 fine to Tommy Chandler et al.
And why again? Because correct me if I'm
Because
wrong. Because
Allie Al Yellowstall said so. That's why, and she's the judge.
Yeah, no, but isn't it because he filed a public information request for communications about a subject matter of a government official?
Yes, and that government official could not, to quote Richard Ray's parsing of the words, could not easily get his phone records from 19 months ago, which, of course, we demonstrated wholeheartedly to be a bunch of BS right here on this show.
So, note to everybody watching, if you want what legally you are obliged to have by the law, public information, you're the bad guy. You will be fined and tortured and penalized for requesting such and seeking to get it.
And not only that, here's the other parts of the chilling effects of this. It cost Wes about $800 and something. I don't know. It was between $800 and $1,000 to file the lawsuit. Now, he did file pro se and then was able at the last minute to get the Tulane lawyers, as they were referred to come up and defend him at the last minute. So if he didn't have that, he would probably have needed some lawyer fees because the city, with our taxpayer dollars, hired 2 law firms to defend the city and ultimately attack Wes and turn him into the defendant. And it cost him like nearly $1,000 to get the transcript. So you can see how the average person, I wouldn't be able to afford to file a lawsuit against the city. I mean, that's ridiculous.
You
So
know,
it has a chilling effect.
You know, I was listening to you talk, and it made me think of something that I see every now and then that comes across Twitter. And it's your government hates you. You know, I see that every now and then. Your government hates you. And it made me think, you know, how is it that so often our government uses the tools of government against us, especially when we seek to affect the laws or the regulations that are supposed to be meant to work on our behalf, that people end up using government and they use the tools against us, against what you're and I think that's what this case is. I mean, you are supposed to be able to get through public information requests. Government is supposed to be operating on the straight and narrow, and one of the protections is media and public information requests. And in this case, that was turned on its head and turned against the person trying to seek transparency, turned against them.
Well, yeah, it was. Let me refresh everybody's memory. We haven't played this clip in a long time. This is from the now infamous movie Tremors, of all things. And there's a great quote from that movie. Let me see if I can get this to play. Hold on just a second here.
We want to know what we should do.
You guys do what you do best. Find something simple and complicated.
I think that pretty much speaks volumes. That's the government's job, is to find something simple, according to Burt Gummer and all the rest of us, find something simple and complicate it.
But you know what? I don't know if it's so much about complicating. I mean, look, we all know, and it doesn't matter. I mean, Chris Norris, he's not, Chris Norris always, he tells us all the time, he says, look, I don't always agree with y'all. He said, but, sometimes I do. And I don't know that his party affiliation is even the same as us. But the bottom line is it doesn't matter party affiliation, because I've come to the conclusion a long time ago that government is not working on behalf of all of us, the rank and file people. It's not. And a lot of us, we've taken the position, we've chosen to just check out. Who said, you know what? They acknowledge it, but they've said rather than fight it, they just gave up and they walked away. And they're living their lives. I don't know if they're right or wrong for that, but at the end of my
look, we're not too far removed from that very deal, because, I mean, we'll get into this in just a second, but the whole term limit situation and the Bossier City Charter Commission, we're about to play that video, so y'all might want to tag a couple of friends back in. Honestly, I'm not too far away from that little I don't give a you-know-what type situation, and it's because the government, our own local city government, has chosen to take something that should be so simple and make it complicated, in the words of the famous Burt Gummer.
I mean, Tommy Chandler. Tommy Chandler. Look, love Tommy to death. He called me tomorrow. I'll go do something for him. Tommy ran on. He said, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to audit the city. Yeah. Right? He said, and what did he say about something breeds corruption? He talked about term limits. He ran on it. Something breeds corruption.
Oh, but don't worry, Duke. Travis Moorhart will do a full audit of the city, a thorough audit of the city, and turn that in. And I'm not saying anything bad against Travis Moorhart. I actually think he's a good accountant and, whatever. And he's given some great quotes at the Cypress District meetings. But he's not really doing a deep dive. He's mainly doing an overview type audit. And I'm no accountant or CPA. And looking at the procedures that are in place. And that's not the same as crunching every nickel and dime. Hey, I got a question, though, for our lawyer types that are watching tonight. What is the normal procedure? What is the normal timeline for getting a transcript of a hearing or a trial? What is that normal procedure? The cost, and about how long should it take to get a transcript of a hearing that took 2 days, or basically 1.5 days? All right. Back to term limits, though, and the sabotage and government disillusionment and all of that.
Well, I mean, look, does this come down to a question of humanity? I mean, we tonight's show, we were talking about the school board, and we talking about the this is in Bossier Parish. We're talking about the superintendent of the school board, and he's now affecting, racism, by my words, but he used the term segregation. And why is he doing that? I mean, let's just cut to the chase.
Oh, he's doing it to gin up his base.
He's doing it for self-interest. Right. He's doing it for the self-interest of the people who have jobs. The self-interest is your money. It's not about what's the best. I mean, because if what's the best, the only thing you're going to hang your hat on is the modest improvement from, say, the 50 or 49th ranking to the 47th ranking, so that's not good enough. I mean, we should be doing better. So you're hanging your hat on.
We're not even to participation trophy status yet in Louisiana. I mean, we're trying to inch our way to get a participation trophy.
Yeah, and we're not denigrating teachers that are trying hard. That is not what it's about at all. But this crap of we always put our self-interest ahead of everything else and no sacrifice. I mean, good grief. I mean, it's totally in the wrong direction. And we see it in our courts here. They're putting ahead friends of friends. And this West Marriott thing, it was simple. Public information request. They did everything to fight it. Term limits for Bossier. Why is it that we want term limits in Bossier? Do all of you think that David Montgomery having the insurance of the port, having the insurance of the Cypress District, and all the freaking entities, Did he have that crap before he became a city councilman? Do y'all think that's right? Do you think that you should become an elected official? If you all think that that's the way government should work and you're fine with that, then we should stop this show and we shouldn't talk about politics ever again. We should just, in fact, the Constitution of the United States, all of you watching, if you agree with that, you should all march to Washington and demand to light that piece of paper on fire. You should all demand to go do that. All of you.
You have to be careful these days or you'll get arrested for being a quote-unquote J6er. They'll arrest you and then figure out the trial later. All right.
At what point are all of you going to develop a spine and stand up for something?
Yeah, well.
When are you going to do
it? Yeah, about the same time that I would argue some of our politicians are. So I've put up on the screen the appointed members of the Bossier City Charter Commission and who appointed them. All right, so chairman is Preston Friedley, and there will be a test after the show, so you'll have to memorize these. All right, vice chairman is Shane Cheatham. He was appointed by Mayor Tommy Chandler. And let me go back and say Preston Friedley was appointed by Councilman Chris Smith. The secretary is Sandra Morehart, as in Travis Morehart is her husband, was appointed by Bubba Don Williams. Vicki Whitman was appointed by Councilman Vince Maggio. Lisa Wilhite was appointed by none other than my city councilman, Jeff Free. Lee Jeter was appointed by Mayor Tommy Chandler. David Johnson, our good friend, was appointed by Councilman Brian Hammonds. Your favorite person, and see you next Tuesday person herself, Juliana Parks, was appointed by Councilman David Montgomery. And Pandorina Sumas was appointed by Councilman Jeff Darby. Now, why is this important? It's important because the first 30 minutes of the most recent March the 28th Bossier City Charter Commission meeting, the first 30 minutes, you can see which of these people are squirming the most over term limits, and you can tell whose side the deck has been dealt to. Or, well, however that saying should go. I probably didn't say that right. It's very important to know who appointed whom in this. All right. Mr. Cheatham was in the comments earlier. He was there, of course, at the meeting. Let me go ahead and get the show queued up, or the video queued up here.
And Greg Bell makes a pretty good comment. He says, having a spine can bankrupt you. Ask me how I know. Well, Greg, I don't know how you know, but what I will tell you is unfortunately, too often, the people that do stand up, they do end up suffering the consequences, like Wes Merritt, because it's always a few people that do it. It's not enough people that stand up and take a position, because too many of you're unwilling to sacrifice anything. I mean,
look, I hate to say it, but I guess in some cases I get it. Look, there are leaders and there are followers, and there are a few people in between. But the truth of the matter is most folks just want to go to their job. They want to come home, be with their family, be with their kids, go to the grocery store, go out to dinner, whatever the scenario may be, go hunt Easter eggs or go celebrate transgenderism on Easter or whatever. I don't know. I'm being a little facetious there, but most people just want to go do their thing. And unfortunately, they don't want to pay attention or be active in politics. Now, I'll make the argument that before, pre-social media and the interwebs, we had basically, we had cable television, and then three main stations that we got our news from. Then along came 24-hour cable news and groups like CNN and eventually Fox News and all that. But I would argue that the greatest game changer, to use an overused term, has been the internet, and now, of course, on top of that, social media, because you're not just dependent on the views of a certain type of people. You have an almost unlimited supply, whether people want to watch us get on our soapbox on Tuesday night or go watch Joe Rogan's podcast or whatever the case may be. The great thing about social media is we all have a platform. And I think a lot of people are getting more engaged over the last 10 years through the rise of mobile phones. I would credit a lot of that to Apple and, of course, to Google and the Android operating system and the Android-based phones as well. But I would credit a lot of that to mobile and to the ease of live streaming like we do. I mean, look, if we wanted to do it the really easy and cheap way, just grab a phone and we can start a Facebook Live. All this, the logos, we pay to have all that look cool and be able to drag screenshots in and review videos and all that. The fact of the matter is we could do it with a phone and nothing but Facebook or Twitter or whatever. All right. So I'm on my soapbox for a second. I'll jump off here in just a moment. But I would argue that social media has given everybody a platform to speak on if you want to. And I think more and more people are getting engaged because they can watch the content on demand, while they're cooking dinner or whatever they're doing.
That ain't freaking enough. And I'm calling everybody out. I don't give a crap. We can disagree and you can try to soften it up as much as you want to freaking soften it up. I'm just going to say it the way it is. And I don't care. I'm going to say it. If I offend every freaking body and nobody watching is just me and you talking, this is the way it's going to be. There's a freaking ton of blood was spilled on every freaking coast of the world. Omaha Beach comes to mind. And if you choose to not get engaged and to fight for what's right, just because you don't want it to, offend your way of life and your comfortable, family living and all that, and make no sacrifice, screw you.
Well,
you're not my people. You're not.
Let me give you the counterpoint to that. And I voted for him twice. What do you say about Donald Trump?
Do you think he's not sacrificing now?
But that's not the same as spilling his blood on the shores of Omaha Beach.
Is he not spilling blood now?
Whoa. No, he's not. He might be spilling some cash, but he's certainly not spilling blood.
Would you still be fighting now if you were him? Or would you have said, hey, would you have tapped out and said, hey, okay, I got your message.
Look, I voted for him twice. I'm going to vote for him a third time, but he is laughing all the way to the bank. Even though he is hemorrhaging cash, he's making cash too. It's not the same. So I want to point out, hold on, hear me out. And I understand your point. I don't disagree with you. I'm just offering a little bit of a counterpoint that not everybody is cut out for battle, whether it's literal battle and literally spilling blood or giving your life, or whether it's battling political entities.
I'm not talking about people have to stand out front and be the freaking tip of the spear. All they have to do, they just have to find somebody else that's willing to be the tip of the spear. And all they got to do
and not run when the battle's on.
All they got to do is stand behind them. It's like me and you, Rex. It's just like me and you. What is it that you say? What have you said about me? Why is it that Rex and Duke work? What is it? What is the basis of what makes Rex and Duke work? What is it?
So
what do you always say? What is it you always say?
I don't know. I say a lot of things all the time, but I think it's that
we
don't always.
You always talk about a bar fight.
Oh, well,
you talk about a bar fight.
So yeah, if the bar fight's going to happen, then I know when I look around who's going to be standing there and who's not. And even when Duke and I disagree or go tit for tat on some topics, if Duke and I are ever in a bar fight for whatever reason, which I don't really drink anymore, but that's beside the point. If we're ever in a bar fight, I know Duke is going to be standing there in that fight. He's not going to be the guy that's standing outside going, oh, well, throw a punch now and throw a punch now and dodge this and dodge that. He's going to be the one that's actually in there in the fight. And those type of people are very few and far between.
That's right. And that's what makes what works between us. It's nothing else. People can think, oh, well, they damn sure know I'm not a bass fisherman. And they know you're not a crawfish fisherman. But what the thing that makes us work is that we know the same. I know I'm going to be able to count on you. And what I would say to everybody watching this is there's not enough people standing there with everybody. You know, if this bar fight breaks out, that we can count on you. There's not enough of you. A lot of you, you're worried about losing what you have. Well, in worrying about losing what you have, you're going to lose everything.
Very, very true. Now, Greg Bell says we're two sexy beasts. I'm not going to disagree with you, but I think a whole lot of people would disagree with you, Greg. All right.
Back on point. We're way
yeah,
off.
back on point. We got way off. All right, so I've got the term limits meeting queued up. Let me hit that button. Okay, that's got us to where we need to be. I want to say this before I get started. Pretty much, my plan is to kind of just play this and we'll stop and do commentary as we go. I'm going to set it where it's a live review so you can stop and start at will, or should be able to if you have it pulled up, Duke. If not, just tell me to stop. Because there's so much in here to unpack. I mean, and I only went through half of the meeting. Not even half of the meeting. I only went up to about an hour. But there's a lot to unpack in this hour. So, are you ready, Mr. Lowry?
Go ahead and stop because I don't have anything pulled up. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit play, and if you see something that you want to stop and commentate on, then let me know. Let me get the volume adjusted to make sure everybody can hear and all that kind of good stuff. All right, here we go. This is Cheatham moving forward with Tommy's term limit deal. So here we go. And maybe not. Hold on. Let's see. Let me try it now. Oh, this is not good.
Correct. Well, we're down when we under new business. We did.
It's not nice. Hold on.
So we are having technical difficulties.
Yes.
But we are trying to show the 328 Bossier City Charter Commission meeting where there was some pretty interesting occurrences.
Yeah, let me do a little this and do a little that and see if I can get that back up here, because this is going to make for awkward silence if we can't. Let's see. Hold on just a moment.
Awkward is like the death knell for social media shows. So Bossier Watch will end as of this show because we had awkward silence.
Awkward silence.
What do you say about that, Shane Cheatham?
All right, let me see if I can get this cue back up. Maybe this will work. If I can't get this to go, we may.
And I will say this, Ryan Haygood, he says that is exactly how I choose my friends. I will tell you, Ryan Haygood, I would call Ryan Haygood. The last time we did the term limits petition, I called Ryan Haygood and I said, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? He's like, I'm going walking, collecting signatures with you. And he would go. Freaking dude was a machine. I could count on him every freaking evening to go. And if I would call Lee Jeter, okay, well, I'm not going to say what would have happened. But anyway.
All right, let me see if I can get the system audio up. Hold on just a second. I may actually, unfortunately, I would have to stop the entire show and restart it.
Well, that's
get that in there.
Fine. That's fine. So I got a better idea.
Yeah, actually, it's not fine because we would lose the show. All right, hold on.
What about share screen? Go ahead.
Yeah, we might can do that. Let me try one more time. Tell me if you can hear this, Duke. Hold on. What's that? Technical difficulties. All right, tell me if you can hear this.
Okay.
627.
You can hear it?
Yep.
All right.
Audience, let me know if y'all can hear the audio. I realize you probably can't see the video yet. As a matter of fact, let me check it on my phone. Hold on just a second.
Item 1, we discussed the town hall, but also chapters 1 through 3 from the meeting. Is that correct?
Correct. Well, we're down when we under new business. We did review and got through 1 through 3.
Correct.
Okay.
And I just have something, before we move out of that section, I would like to make a motion that we move forward with Mayor Chandler's resolution for term limits and get that to the voters by a November or December, getting that out to the voters of Bossier City. So I'd just like to make the motion on that.
Okay. If I remember, that came under chapter 3.
That's correct.
So let's do this, Shane, and I have no problem with that. Let's get down to where we're going to review the section 1 through 5, which is under new business. And then we'll put your motion on the table and we can talk about that.
So I think we just need to back up a little bit, because in the last meeting, we determined that we were going to go through each chapter by chapter, and Mr. Jeter did a very excellent job walking through the chapters and the changes. We were going to look at them.
Calling on Mr. Jeter?
Well, here's the way that I took this is, I don't know if you caught it while I was sitting there jacking around trying to get the audio going, but basically Shane was trying to move forward with the term limits resolutions and in the process of trying to get a motion made. And Preston wasn't really, he was kind of putting the brakes on a little bit, but now Morehart, Sandra, is really trying to put the brakes on moving forward with the term limits. So that's your first clue as to where certain people stand on term limits or don't stand on term limits.
And the first person's name that she calls is Lee Jeter. Interesting.
Yes, interestingly enough. All right, so I'm going to hit play, and here we go again.
And study them more, but continue our journey without adopting or making any motions.
Okay, I was not present at that meeting, and I still would like for my motion. If it doesn't get a second, that's fine, but I still want to move forward with my motion.
Okay, so let's do this, and I agree with you. So
And the only reason I say, Preston, that it needs to be in this section is, from what I read, the new business is chapter 4 through 7. It says nothing about 1 through 3. So it needs to be handled during this section of 1 through 3.
Okay. Let me ask you.
All right, so basically Cheatham's given his reasoning for moving forward at this point with the term limits. And, you know, I got to say Preston ends up basically being on the side of moving forward with those. All right, so let's play that out.
Ask you a clarifying question, because under that section dealing with term limits, there were 2 versions, and I'm not sure the version A.
Richard, can you read us Tommy's resolution that he submitted?
Now, this will be your second clue as to the fix being in, so listen carefully here.
You have a copy, or can you pull that up?
The reason I say that, because there were some that made the term limits under version B retroactive. Some under version A did not make it retroactive.
I tried, Richard, to find that in my documents.
I think it's in the binders that we did originally, if you have it. I know that in...
So, amazingly, one of the main issues and precipitants for this charter commission was obviously term limits. Okay, does anybody have a copy of the term limits resolution that the mayor's office put forward? Well, the mayor's appointee doesn't have it. The city attorney doesn't have it. And apparently the chairman of the charter commission, they're all scrambling and shuffling papers to find it.
Okay,
do you not find that ironic?
I do find it ironic, but I will point out that the mayor's appointee was both Shane Cheatham and Lee Jeter.
Oh, I'm calling them both out. So Shane, if you're in the comments, you should have had that resolution. Now, granted, I think you thought, not putting words in your mouth, that it was in the binder, but you should have had that prep before you ever got to the meeting. I'm calling them both out.
Okay, we'll keep rolling.
Here we go.
It may take me just a minute to locate it, but I think we put it in there, all of the enabling legislation, if you will, and that was part of the names. Sir? Well, mine is, that'll be theirs. My binder has extra stuff in it, so.
Well, I mean, so currently we're counting on Richard Ray to find it. And Richard Ray, I'm pretty confident he's not going to find it.
Well, amazingly, he didn't really find it. I mean, until a little bit later on. Now, I'm going to jump ahead a couple of minutes. Lisa Wilhite asked about submitting one thing or multiple things in this scramble to find
I'm
resolutions.
I'm waiting for a second. Is Vicki Whitman even looking, or is she just looking at Shane Cheatham?
I think she's probably playing some game on her iPhone.
I don't know. I think she's
she's playing solitaire.
I think she's giving Shane Cheatham the stink eye.
She might be. She could also be playing the Ninja Fruit game or whatever on her iPhone. Who knows? All right, here we go. All right, hold on. I got to put this up there. So Shane Cheatham said, one day I will be as cool as my friend Rex. Maybe I had a copy. That may be true, Shane. Maybe your point was to get them all to scramble and look for copies and look like, well, what it is. They couldn't find copies of the term limit. So, all right. All right, here we go. They're still shuffling papers.
While you look, we are sending this all as one, though, recommendation, so not just one, right?
We can, as I appreciate it, we can do it as one, as 10, or as a complete recommendation of packages.
So did y'all catch that? There's been discussion in previous meetings about whether they can present everything as one whole new charter or a series of amendments to the charter. And again, Shane, you're in the comments, correct us wherever we're incorrect.
And that gets back to the Jeff Sadow article of, how the whole process is flawed from the get-go, from the beginning of the ordinance to create the Charter Commission.
Exactly correct. And Christopher James Norris, the fix was pretty much already in against term limits. Charter Commission was just a way to burn the clock. Yes, sir, I would tend to agree. All right, here we go. Let's see. So the next thing is, let's get to the 1421 mark. This is important because Richard Ray gives us his opinion on the 2/3 vote.
I didn't realize that this was going to happen. Okay, so let me preface this by saying that. And Shane, I don't know if anybody else was here. You and I were in Baton Rouge last week. And in the meeting where Cameron Henry spoke Tuesday morning about the proposed constitutional convention that they're thinking about doing in the legislature, something hit me, and that is that when the legislature sends any matter to be placed on the ballot to amend the Constitution, they have to do it by a 2/3 vote. And so I have sent for an outside opinion as to whether this body or the council has to send it to the voters with a 2/3 vote. So I don't know whether you can take a vote and it be a simple majority or a 2/3 majority, but I would caution everyone here as to taking that before we know that. But
he has sent for an outside opinion. Did he get council approval on that? I'm just wondering.
How's he going to fund that? Does he have to pay for those outside opinions? Maybe he gets sent it off to the Attorney General's office.
Yeah, I'm wondering about this outside opinion. I mean, did he get the same outside opinion as the?
Maybe he sent it to Katie Bell.
Yeah, Katie Bell.
Maybe it was to Katie Bell's office. Imagine that. You didn't think of that, did you, Mr. Lowry?
No, I didn't. I couldn't remember the name. I wonder how that would go.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Lord. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead just a little bit, not much. Vicki Whitman reminds us that she thinks everyone needs to be present to vote.
I think that if we're going to take the vote, everybody needs to be here.
What do you think, Duke? Does everybody need to be there?
Well, I mean, I guess it was a surprise to some of them that there was going to be a meeting today. I mean, unlike, all the previous meetings, it was probably a surprise that they were going to have a meeting and they didn't have any clue that they were going to have a meeting. And, but something tells me that there won't be no surprises at any of the meetings coming up, that they will probably be present at every one of the meetings.
All right.
Speculating.
Here we go.
Well, you have a quorum present.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have a quorum.
I have a motion. If I get a second, I'd like to take a vote. If it fails, it fails. If it passes, it can pass, and then you can find out where we're at as far as your opinion that you're asking. But I think the longer we wait, we're running out the clock, and I would like to move forward.
Well said.
Hey, yeah, well, very well said, Mr. Cheatham. And that would have been a great time to remind everybody of a great quote by Dalton from Roadhouse. Opinions vary. Okay, so I'm on a movie kick. You got to forgive me.
You've went to all of them tonight. I'm telling you, you're on a kick. Yep.
All
Go
right,
ahead.
so here in just a few seconds, Preston's going to ask for some clarification on the 2/3. So here we go.
With my motion at this time.
Shane, I'll second that. I just continually hear it from the people.
Our good friend, Mr. David Johnson, coming in
Good job,
with the second.
David.
Good job, David.
Overwhelmingly.
So the question would be, and again, I'm going to defer, we have a motion and a second on the floor. And so before I move forward, I have a technical question to Richard, and that is, when you say 2/3, are you talking about 2/3 of the body and membership, or 2/3 of those present? Because in the legislature, it's 2/3 of those present when they vote.
It would be 2/3 of those present. We have a quorum. It would be 2/3 present, so.
So that's 7. 2/3 is, I appreciate, is roughly 4.6, rounded up is 5.
Correct.
So it would mean that
We don't know that it has to have 2/3 at this time, though, correct?
Correct, but I'm just saying, so a
Good
plurality
job, Shane.
of the 7 is.
You're making up ground quickly, Shane.
Jane just called BS on some speculative crap that the assistant city attorney tried to throw in there because he knew where this was going. I mean, a trained trial lawyer saw exactly what was happening right out of the gate before anybody else did, and he tried to change the rules to say, or water this thing down and say, oh, there's this 2/3 rule because the legislature has some procedure. I mean, oh, good grief.
It's the old
Shane
dazzle
smelled
them with brilliance or baffle them with bullshit. Take a guess as to which one Richard Ray is actually doing.
That's right. And Shane smelt it from a mile away. Good job, Shane.
Ding, ding, ding.
4, correct? So if we passed it with 4, technically speaking, that's passing.
Well, my position would be.
4.6.
My position.
4.6 is the 2/3.
Okay.
The 4 is the the majority.
My position would be, and without knowing that this was going to happen, that it would need to be 2/3. I would say that without a 2/3.
Without knowing that he's going to a
What does it matter whether he knew?
government entity that may take a vote on something.
Yeah, what does it matter that he didn't know beforehand that this was going to happen? I mean, is everything that's going to happen have to be approved by him with the city attorney?
And our good friend Jeffrey Sadow points out, not exactly correct. Some measures require 50% plus 1 or 2/3 of the seated membership of the legislature. So there's some variance on that. All right.
Again, trying to influence the outcome. You know, he wasn't elected to the position. He's the assistant city attorney, and he's trying to steer the proceedings. That's what he's trying to do. You all are seeing it.
So I'm going to jump ahead because he did find the mayor's resolution of all things. So here we go. We'll jump ahead a few minutes here.
All right, at the top it says resolution, a resolution ordering and calling a special election to be held in the city of Bossier City, state of Louisiana, to vote upon the adoption of amendments to the current city charter of the city of Bossier City, making application to the State Bond Commission and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Bossier City, State of Louisiana, the governing authority, acting as the governing authority of the City of Bossier City, State of Louisiana, the city, that Section 1, election call, subject to the approval of the State Bond Commission and under the authority conferred by the Constitution of the State of Louisiana of 1974, including Article 6, Section 5, and 22 thereof, the applicable provisions of the Louisiana Election Code, and other constitutional and statutory authority, a special election is hereby called and ordered to be held by the city, in the city. Now this says on Saturday, November 18th, 2023, because this was the original resolution, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 o'clock p.m. in accordance with provisions of Louisiana Revised Statute 18:541, and that said election there be submitted to all registered voters qualified and entitled to vote at the said election under the Constitution and laws of the state of, and Constitution.
All right, so I'll pause it there to save the rest of it. Kudos to Shane for making him read that too. On the record.
I hate to say this. I was interested to read. Did he read that the retroactivity was in there? Because did he neglect to read that part?
Well, let's finish it then.
Of the United States, the following propositions to wit: Charter Amendment Proposition number 1 of 2, shall Section 3.01B of the City Charter for Bossier City be amended to read as follows. Members of the City Council shall be eligible for re-election. No person shall be eligible for election to the office for more than 3 terms.
Okay,
and
you can
said
stop.
term limit applies to all who have.
All right, but interesting you should ask that question, Mr. Lowry, because just a couple of minutes later, so we'll go ahead and jump ahead, none other than Sandra Morehart makes an amendment. And what do you think she made an amendment for?
I have no idea.
She was trying to amend Cheatham's motion.
What could motivate her to possibly make an amendment?
I don't know. Let's listen and see if we can figure this out. See if y'all can figure it out in the comments. Here we go.
I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay.
And I'd like to change the retroactivity and delete it, and also make the 4 years term to 5.
Whoop, did y'all catch that? Let's go back. So that was Sandra Morehart. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do too. Let me pull up again the Charter Commission members. And so you can see that Sandra Morehart, let's see, where is she at? Right there. She was a secretary, and she was appointed by none other than Councilman Bubba Don Williams. Ding, 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 ding.
And if I recall correctly, I don't think she lives in the district of Councilman Williams. I don't think she even lives in that district. So she doesn't represent y'all out there.
I'm going to leave that up there. So as we're going through this, y'all can reference as to who was appointed by whom. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to that one more time. Here we go.
I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay.
And I'd like to change the retroactivity and delete it, and also make the 4 years term to 5.
We have a motion and a second for the original vote. We need to vote on that first.
Okay, now, we would not handle an amendment to that, or?
You have to handle an amendment before you vote.
But so let me.
All right, so I'll stop it right there because there's some back and forth between whether you got to vote on the motion or the amendment to the motion. But her motion was to do away with the retroactivity. So in other words, none other than Bubba Don Williams, David Montgomery, and the rest of, as Sadow puts it, the graybeards, would all still be in there, right?
But not only that, she wanted to do away with limiting people to how many terms they could serve. but she wanted to increase the length of time to which they could serve to 5-year terms, not 4-year terms, to 5-year terms. So, I mean, she's talking about increasing their ability to serve to infinity, basically.
To infinity and beyond. Okay. Christopher James Norris says, you can tell Shane is over there thinking this is just a bunch of BS. Yeah.
I knew. Shane's at high achiever level right now.
Yeah. Cassie Rogers says that's the biggest issue for me. She is not speaking for the district she is appointed to represent. She is only speaking for the person that appointed her. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. Chicken dinner.
Yep. Cassie Rogers is on point.
So let's jump ahead just a couple of minutes. And did you know that there was discussion of the draining of the brains?
Oh, draining of the brains. I mean,
yes.
that might have something to do with the particular ball cap that I chose to wear tonight. But yeah, go ahead. Let's hear about that.
Okay.
Let me understand your amendment. Are you making it retroactive?
All right, let me jump up. Hold on.
I'd like to add something, because I'm sitting here listening to this.
Vicki Whitman.
I think to go forward with any vote right now on any of this without worrying about staggering, without worrying about a brain drain to the city, about not worrying if you have an open seat and nobody runs, what happens then? We've not discussed all this stuff. I think it's irresponsible to the city. That's just my opinion.
So I want to stop right there. So let's talk about your ball cap, Mr. Lowry. Move a little bit to your left, I think it would be. Yeah, a little bit. Oh, that looks like a badge there. What is that? Does that say Wyatt? What is that cap?
You know, that was a ball cap that the late friend of mine, Johnny Wyatt, Bossier City Marshal, gave me. And a lot of you may recall that the late Johnny Wyatt, a good friend, had a tragic accident and died. He was the Bossier City Marshal. And I would say that at the blink of an eye, there was a brain drain in Bossier in the marshal's office.
Yeah, must have been.
And to which immediately there was another marshal that took place. And in my humble opinion, the marshal's office has served functioned well, and not had a brain drain or any problem whatsoever.
Well, hold on, Duke. I just realized something, and I have to argue with you a little bit. Not about the marshal's office, though. Not about the marshal's office. I agree that the marshal's office, the continuity of government, so to speak, with that office went along just smoothly. But I just realized something. What city councilman appointed Vicki Whitman?
Don't know.
It's none other. Look on the screen. Vince Maggio. Now, it could be argued that there was a definite brain drain the moment Vince Maggio got sworn in officially and started taking on official duties as a city councilman. I have to say, she may be correct.
Well, I don't know about any of that, but to the argument of there being a brain drain, what she's trying to say is that if you affected term limits overnight, you would sink the experience that you've had in place in Bossier for all this time. Well, I would contend that experience has got us in a little bit of a bind. I love Miss Vicki, and I wish Miss Vicki would tell the public how the police and the firemen should get a pay raise now. They're all due a pay raise. They're working the lowest around, and all of that experience and knowledge that is so valued right now. Why is it that they can't figure out how to give the policemen of Bossier and the firemen of Bossier a raise to bring them to at least a freaking average to what people in law enforcement and public safety deserve?
So,
I mean, if she can make that claim, I love Miss Vicky, and Miss Vicky, we disagree. But if you can make that charge, you need to be able to explain why is it that we can't find funding for all of public safety? Why can we not do that?
wait a minute. Somebody help me out here in the comments, or Duke, maybe you can remember off the top of your head. When was it that we had to do was it fire or police layoffs? When was that?
I was there. I don't remember the exact year, but I'm going to take it a step further.
But wait, but it doesn't matter the exact year. Who were the sitting city councilmen? Wasn't it 3 or 4 of the exact same ones?
It's all the guys that she's defending for. There would be a brain drain if you remove them.
Yeah, I tend to agree with
Colonel Crockett. But here's the thing. All of these, she's advocating that they should all continue to be able to be there. Morehart, they're contending that all these folks should be there still making decisions, and we're the lowest paid around, lowest paid. So they're sacrificing public safety for monuments and other crap. That's what they're defending. Miss Vicky, you need to defend it. I'm sorry.
Whose names are on that damn monument?
I respect you and I love you to death, but I'm just saying, if you're going to stand with them, we're at a crossroads. We're at a crossroads. You need to be able to look all the policemen and firemen in the face and say, this is why you have to be paid substandard to every other department all of Northwest Louisiana. This is why you need to make less. You need to be able to explain that, because that's what you're doing. And Vince Maggio, Vince, you've always been a friend. You need to say it as well too. And this crap of you're going to find the money, don't say it. Step up. Show it. And the truth is, they're not going to do it. If you're a fireman and policeman, and if you're just going to take that crap that they're telling you, they're blowing smoke up your butt. They're blowing smoke up your butt. You're going to find out. You're not going to get a raise. It's not coming.
Let's point out the fallacies in Vicky's arguments. One, the Bossier City Marshal's office, the continuity was just fine there when her husband took over. Number 2, the same people that she is advocating the brain drain will happen because of are the same sitting city councilmen, graybeards that Sadow refers to. They're the same ones that had to cut the police and fire first responders back in 2009. They're the same ones that would rather spend $300,000 to $400,000 on the monument, literally with their names on them, rather than putting that towards the first responders. And not only that, Vicky, your own stupid argument you're using would apply to none other than Vince Maggio, the city councilman that appointed you.
So all of you watching, and even Miss Vicky, okay, all of you watching, if your house is on fire and because there wasn't adequate money, there wasn't adequate manpower, and we showed up on the fire truck, and the captain says, gets on the radio and he says, engine 2 to headquarters, we're at a working house fire, and as soon as we get a back end man here, we'll be able to fight the fire because of these guys. If that's your house, I'm just wondering, is that okay with you, Miss Vicky? For all of y'all, is that okay with y'all? Because that's where we're at. And, you're defending that. So you need to explain that to the policeman for if there's a shooting or a domestic dispute at your house, or if there's a fire at your house and you don't have manpower or you don't have whatever public safety wise is needed. That's what you're defending. I was there. I seen it firsthand. I was on that call. I can tell you the captain that made the call on the radio. I could probably go back and public information requests, the radio transmission. I'm certain the city attorney's office would say, oh, no, it didn't exist, but I was there firsthand. That's where we're heading. That's what you're defending. You, Moorhart, and all of you. And why are you defending it?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? That's what you're doing. To the policemen and firemen, you guys are at a crossroad. You're either going to make the choice to allow, the councilmen that have been there ever to use you as tools against the public. You're going to either allow them to continue to use you as a tool, or you're going to make the choice to finally say, you know what? That's over with. That's done. That's enough. No, you're not going to allow that to. The choice is clear for you. You're
But
at a
wait.
crossroads.
But
You're at a
wait, Duke,
crossroads.
there's more. Did you know we're going to have to build in safeguards? Hold on.
Safeguards?
Hold
Tell
on.
me more.
Hold on. Let's let the woman finish.
I think those issues are already raised in the city charter, the process that happens if no one runs.
I haven't seen it.
I think it's already in the current city charter.
I mean, what happens if everybody we're still on the same term? We have a big brain drain. You've got projects out there that have been, sometimes they're 20-year projects. What happens if you have a brain? I mean, if you're going to look, I'm not opposed to putting it up to the voters for a vote. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
What I'm saying is we need to think about this and we need to build safeguards. If our job is to take care of the city, then we need to forget about who we don't like sitting on this city council right now, or who we do like or don't like. We need to do the business of the city, and that is to protect the city from things happening. That's just my opinion.
But I.
Well,
you kind of catch that?
I agree with you 100%. Bring the firemen and the policemen to the Southern average on page. Miss Whitman, please, you make the motion at the next meeting. I can guarantee you're going to have Shane Cheatham, Preston Friedley. I can't say regarding Benedict Arnold, but David Johnson, they're going to be with you. Bring public safety to the Southern average. You should make that motion. Let's take public safety of the citizens of Bossier off the table. You put it in there that the city charter will say that public safety will be guided by the Southern average. You do that, Ms. Whitman. You do that. I agree with you. Do it. Let's see.
So Jessica Langley Maddox says, is she saying we are stupid and cannot read reports and make an educated decision? She kind of alluded to that, even though she didn't say it directly. All right.
I agree with her. I think me and her are on the same page. I want to see her. I know what I agree. I've said it. I spoke of it at one of their charter commission meetings, at Hooter Park. We showed it. I want her to prove that she believes that. Make the motion, Miss Whitman. Make the motion to bring public safety to the Southern average. Put it freaking out there. You know what? I'll even walk away from term limits if Miss Whitman will put it forward to a vote to everybody else. I'll walk away from term limits to mandate that the police and firemen are brought to the Southern average. Make it that their pay is mandated. I'll walk away from term limits. There you go, Miss Whitman, David Montgomery, all of y'all. There you go.
Throwing a line down in the sand. All right, so let's continue on with this, because Preston brings up a pretty interesting point. Let's see.
On the other hand, I would say, Ms. Whitman, we're not talking about a brain drain, given that city council members meet twice a month. The people who run the city are the staff who are there, and many of which, as we now know, have served 25 years. And whether there's turnover in the city council, you don't see that general turnover in the employees. So I don't think, I hate to say this from a political scientist point of view, if a city council didn't exist, the city would still manage to run pretty effectively with the staff that we have operating.
Well,
How many of y'all would agree with that? I think I kind of agree with him. I think the city might run better if certain city councilmen just didn't show up at all.
You daggum right. The city would run better. But, look, this is all about they have to retain power. They have to retain control. Some people, it all goes back to their self-interest. They have an interest, a monetary interest, and they have to protect that. I mean, appointees to different places, they have to protect all of that. That's what it is all about at the end of the day.
All right, so Vicky Whitman seconded the amendment from Sandra Morehart. I'm going to jump ahead to the 39-minute mark because Priscilla McGee, this lady here, steps up to the podium and asks a very interesting question.
7 Gardenia Street. Okay, are you ready for my comment?
Yes, ma'am. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Go ahead.
So I was wondering that if we go for 5 years instead of 4, wouldn't it be out of sequence with the others, the mayor and the president and governor and all that? Sandra, what is your, why do you want to do that?
I just think that it would help provide some continuity in the government. And
Continuity.
I don't know how it syncs up with anything, but I don't know that that's a requirement.
Continuity, using those big old buzzwords, the continuity of government. Jeff Sadow says, be very suspicious when somebody in any form extols government by so-called experts.
This is classic. I don't know. I'm so disappointed because, this is the hill to die on for everybody. If you're not even a Politico, this is your time. This is your time to get involved. I mean, things could not, the lines of demarcation could not be more clearer on any issue that I can recall ever.
Right.
And the opportunity.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. All right, so let's jump ahead just a little bit, and there's a vote on Sandra's amendment to remove the retroactivity and go to 3 5-year terms.
Vote yea or nay on this amendment. Mr. Cheatham.
Nay.
All right. Mr. Jeter.
Nay.
Mr. Johnson.
Nay.
All right. Ms. Morehart.
Yay. I don't know what you say. Yes.
Yay. All right. Ms. Whitman.
I'm going to vote no on both.
No. And Ms. Wheelwright.
Yay.
All right. The motion fails 4-2. I don't know. Do you want the chairman to vote too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see how he votes.
Chair will vote no.
Okay.
Now, I was throwing rocks at Miss Whitman a little bit, and I got to give her credit. She said no to that.
Yeah,
I mean,
got to give it credit where it's due.
She deserved credit because, I mean, look, 5 years, like somebody said there, Greg Bell said, just make it a lifetime.
That is the best continuity ever.
And Miss Whitman, she called a spade, and she did right there. She did.
All right. So now let's jump ahead, because this is where we start getting into this Benedict Arnold potential territory here. So this is the vote on Cheatham's motion to implement the mayor's proposal, of course, adjusting the dates. So
now I want to go back. Wait a minute. Just let me talk a little bit about this. So, and folks you can go back and you can watch the video, and allegedly, there's that key word, allegedly, and that says that, I can't verify this and I don't know for a fact, but allegedly I'm told that Miss Morehart had spent some time on her phone prior to making that amendment. And the inference is that somebody watching the live stream messaged her upon, noticing that Shane made the move that he made and, conveyed to her that she should make an amendment. And I think maybe that charge is supported by the fact that when the little lady from Gardenia Street popped up there to make a question, her response to the why question was not very solid. She really didn't have an answer, in my opinion, as to the why question that she was proposing 5 years. Continuity of government? Continuity of government? That's pretty damn weak.
And I will say, because I do have it marked here as well, Cheatham did make mention of the text messages too, so he didn't let that slide. All right, here we go on the vote.
Oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. 'Cause I was so mad. I was so mad. I got to tell you, after I saw Benedict Arnold, I didn't watch any more of it after that. I was too mad. That was when I was having to console myself because I was throwing crap in my house.
Okay, so here we go with the vote, and we're going to get in straight into Lee Jeter and his potential Benedict Arnold moments, starting now.
All right.
Now we vote on the original motion that I read
intended
to
by
everyone.
Mr. Cheatham. Mr. Cheatham.
Yay.
Mr. Jeter.
Nay.
Nay.
That is correct. I'm for term limits. However, I do believe the terms should be staggered. And I believe I didn't come here not just to vote on term limits. I understand what the mayor, and I'm the mayor's appointee, but I've spent too much time going through this entire charter for us not to go ahead and make the full revisions to the charter.
Okay.
Which is, I think, what we need to do.
Mr. Johnson?
All right, I want to stop right there. So, give me your take on that, your reaction to that, Mr. Lowry. I mean, what's wrong with that?
Okay. Well, I've got two reactions. I've got two things. I got to separate this out because based off of the video right here, right there, he was too prepared in his response to his voting no. He already knew exactly what he was going to say. He knew exactly. He was prepared for his answer. He was ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which he had already planned ahead of time.
I would tend to agree.
So the second thing, you know, and this is, I've got to personally disclose this to everybody. I was so disappointed in this. I called and I let him know how disappointed I was in what he did. And he called me back, to which, you know, he basically explained that he believed, what he said was he believed that you don't have a majority of the vote on this charter commission. The other changes that you desire to make, and I will say that he articulated those along racial lines and party lines, that I said the other members of this thing are not going to allow that. You are your thinking is flawed. It's not going to happen, and you just squandered the only opportunity you had to make constructive change. And you know, I hope that I'm wrong. I'm confident that I'm not wrong, and that ultimately either you are right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. And one of us is going to have to admit we're wrong. And he still is a dreamer and thinks that he's going to be able to rewrite the Constitution of not the United States, but Bossier City, and all those. He's going to convince Vicky Whitman, Will Hite, and Morehart to go along with him, and Juliana Parks.
He doesn't think the fix is in.
So he is either completely naive, or, as someone else suggested, which goes to the why we posted Benedict Arnold, either he's not been on our team from the beginning in changing anything. And you know, the point that was made to me about him not being on the team was because during the first petition, you know what? He signed up for it. You know how many signatures that he got?
Less than me. At least I did go walk a neighborhood.
And for this petition, that's the second time around, you know how many sightings of Lee Jeter there's been?
Oh, surely not. Surely you
So-
jest, Mr. Lowry. Jeffrey
I'm-
Sadow says Jeter has run afoul of the fixed cost fallacy. In other words, if you have invested a lot into something, you have to keep doing it, even if it prevents you from pursuing something with a better return.
So Lee Jeter, in our conversation, I didn't say this to him, and look, I like Lee.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I really do like Lee, but I don't owe Lee Jeter nothing. I don't. The only person I owe anything is the good Lord above, and I don't. When people use their faith, I don't think that's right to be using your faith in politics. So what I am going to say to Lee, if your actions are based off of trying to do something for the Democrat Party and you're as well using your faith, I'm just wondering, did you celebrate Transgender Appreciation Day on Easter? I mean, you articulated your faith to me in our conversation. I'm just wondering, and you articulated your Democrat values as your reasoning partially in your decision. I'm just wondering about your transgender decision or Easter. Which is it?
And serve two
yeah,
masters.
I'm calling you out. Which is it? I mean,
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right, so let me go on up. Let me hit play again because there's more.
Yeah.
All right, so David Johnson voted yay.
Ms. Whitman,
I agree with everything Mr. Jeter said. No.
you vote no? No? Okay. Ms. Willite?
No.
All right. And Ms. Moorhart, did I skip you?
Yes.
All right.
I vote no. Yes, you skipped me. No, I'm for the amendment.
Yeah, that's a yes then from you, no. I don't. And the chairman would vote yes. But the motion fails by a vote of 4-2.
Thank you for.
Y'all catch that? Vote
So-
fails 4-2.
So the only opportunity for substantive change from the Bossier City Charter Commission was squandered because of Lee Jeter. Now, either Lee Jeter was never on the team of change in Bossier City, or he was, and he's simply ignorant. I mean, I don't know how other and people can frame me and criticize me and say, "Oh, well, you're the Republican PEC chairman. Yeah, you're going to call the Democrat PEC chairman ignorant or whatever." And I really don't believe it has nothing to do with party politics. It's not that at all. It's not at all. Either he's a good old boy or he's not. It's one of the two. Or he just didn't realize the mistake that he made. But either way, it doesn't change the fact that the one opportunity to affect change in Bossier City, which hasn't been the case for all of these years, which without change has caused every one of the citizens in Bossier City to be beholden to a debt burden that is probably more so than any other city in the state of Louisiana. You know, that's all on you, Lee Jeter. It's all on you. And in the end of this, all of these proposed changes in the charter that you allege that you support and you want to see get done, I mean, I am waiting on. I am willing and ready to admit that I was wrong. If you can convince Vicki Whitman, Miss Wilhite, Juliana Parks, and Moorhart all to go along with all of the changes that you're proposing. I mean, show us, Lee Jeter, show us, and this goes back to the original thing you and I were debating, Rex. We were talking about people placing themselves and their self-interest ahead of what was best for everybody. And I want to say Lee Jeter just showed, in my opinion, Lee Jeter just showed placing self-interest ahead of what was best in all of Bossier City. It crossed racial lines. It crossed party lines. Lee Jeter he crossed the line. He did it.
All right, so I'm going to jump us a little bit ahead because while we're on Lee Jeter, I want you to know, or everybody to know clearly, what his position is. Then we're going to jump back in time just a little bit because there are a couple of other interesting points I want to make sure we get out there tonight. So here is Lee Jeter on chapter 4. So I'm jumping ahead just a little bit. Bear with me.
I mean, look, I don't care, Rex. Stop.
No,
I don't care. I don't care. Democrats out there, look, I'm the Republican. I'm the Antichrist to you. But what I'm telling you, your freaking guy, term limits benefits you. It benefits you more than the Republicans. We just want good government. That's all we want. We want honest government. You know what? If you debate us and you're right on the issue, we're willing to concede we're wrong. But your guy just sold all of you out.
He did.
He sold all of you out.
But for the benefit of all 60-something people still watching, let's hear his position.
Sure, remember last time you went through and sort of led the discussion on those changes? I don't think anybody would have a problem with that.
I can start, Mr. Chairman. That's not a problem. One of the proposed changes I've been looking at Chapter 4, and I believe also that I made a recommendation in Chapter 3 that we staggered the terms and that our large councilmen serve 6-year terms and the other non-large councilmen serve 4-year terms, and that would be for the purpose of continuity. But I also, in Chapter 3,
they're stuck on that word
term limits for the mayor,
listen.
but I'm also proposing that the mayor serve 2 consecutive that the mayor may serve terms of 6 years and be eligible for re-election not to exceed 2 terms.
All right, did y'all catch that? 2 6-year terms for the mayor, and then staggering 4-year terms for the regular city council members and 6-year terms for the at-large councilman. That's Lee Jeter's position.
So, okay, let me do the math. 2 6-year terms. Okay, that's 12 years. So 3 4-year terms. Oh, that's 12 years too. Huh.
And look,
what am I missing?
Well, hold on. Christopher James Norris brings up a good point. Is Mayor Tommy putting his 2 appointments against each other, or could be pitting his 2 appointments against each other? Because Lee was reading a prepared deal.
Or is Tommy Chandler really for term limits or not?
Is he trying to poison the well?
Because all Tommy Chandler has done is sign the petition. That's all he's done.
That is correct.
He's not come out and fought for it. His assistant city attorney is doing everything in his power to fight it and to prevent it from happening. I mean, and I would argue that I don't know his CAO. I haven't seen her out, supporting it and working on behalf of it. But, well, I was fixing to go down a dark road, and I'm biting my tongue. I'm biting my tongue.
So Tommy appointed Cheatham. Cheatham is very much pro-term limits, but he also appointed Lee Jeter, and Lee Jeter's, what we're terming the Benedict Arnold of this deal. He's the poison pill, maybe.
Well, again, allegedly, Lee Jeter, and I can tell you firsthand, in the first petition, Lee Jeter showed up and was like, he's gonna be a part, and you know what? He did nothing. He never helped. He didn't do squat. But he's not the only one. There's a lot of people that they made commitments and made promises and said, "Oh, we're going to help. Oh, we're going to do this." And at the end of the day, it fell on a few people. It fell on a few people that carried the load. People didn't think that we could get it done. We got it done. That wasn't why Lee Jeter, I don't think Lee Jeter was ever there to see to it that it got done.
No, the truth is, and we can, we won't do it tonight, but we can absolutely name the names. But the truth of the matter is, it was you and Colonel Crockett. Ryan Haygood helped some, and a few others I helped a wee little bitty bit. That's it.
My
It
wife
was
and
on
my
the
kid.
shoulders and the feet of you and your family and Colonel Crockett that did the vast majority of that.
Lee Jeter was nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Nowhere to be found. Made promises and did nothing. And here, the second petition, Lee Jeter still nowhere to be found. So
Yeah.
that the fact that he was a plant from the good old boys all along, you know what? I got to tell you, I don't know. It's plausible.
There's some more inside baseball that we could go into.
Because to this point, he's made no contribution. The only contribution that he's made is to fight term limits in Bossier City. He's to fight what's in the best interest of every citizen of Bossier City. The only contribution he's made is to stand in the way of it. That's it.
And Lee, you've got our phone numbers. You know, you're welcome to come on the show. You've been in the comments before. Come on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome.
If we're wrong, tell us. Show us what your pathway really is. Welcome to come on the show.
I'm not going to be disrespectful to you, Lee, but
we just have a different opinion on this.
I paid you the respect of a call to tell you that I disagreed with your opinion and how disappointed I was. And, you know, after thinking about it a whole lot more, you know, you either made a totally ignorant mistake or either you're working with the other team. And if you're working with the other team and you don't agree, that's fine. Say that. Be a man, say that. And don't dare try to throw your faith in this. That gets my goat more than any freaking thing, because this ain't about faith. Because if it's about faith, you would have been one of the first people standing up saying that Easter was not freaking transgender day. You know, own it.
Putting party over faith.
I want to hear it out of your mouth. I want to hear it.
All right, so I'm going to jump back in time because Jeter questioned the process twice. So I'm going to start at the second time where he basically restates his question. Richard Ray answers it, and then we go into some fatal flaws, and we might have been operating under an illegal charter all along, Duke, and we'll kind of wrap up the show when we get to that point. So here we go. Here's Lee restating his question about the process.
Clear. Okay. As I'm reviewing this charter, those proposed changes that have been made by the mayor and the council, I'm taking those under consideration when I review those sections. The public comments that we received from the citizens, I'm taking those in consideration. At some point, whatever is decided, we've got to put it in a draft form for this body so that we know what exactly we're voting on. And so my question is, who's going to put it in that form? And who's going to draft those proposed changes to the charter for us to have a final review so that we can vote? If we vote on the entirety of the charter, how we're going to vote? Because I'm not going to remember when we get to chapter 22, chapter 20, what we discussed in chapter 1, even though I've got some extensive notes. At some point, we've got to begin to compile the things that we agree on that need to go into the charter as proposed changes that we're going to submit to the council, because whatever we submit to the council, they have to submit to the voters. So my question is how we're going to do that, how is that process going to take place?
Mr. Jeter, if I may, I've tried,
Richard Ray's answer,
as we go through this, to make the suggested changes, and that is what, like the draft that you have that we distributed last week.
Right.
When I thought we had a meeting on the 20th, I got it ready and sent it out, and thank you for correcting that. But there's a...
All right, so I'll save you having to listen to Richard Ray's fingernails grating on the chalkboard anymore than we have to. But basically, Richard Ray's contention is that he's drafting revisions to the charter as they are suggested and they discuss and go through. All right.
Well, let me stop right here. I got to know. Okay, so for all of y'all hanging in there watching, there's 70 to 80 people. Y'all are hanging in here. True Blue, how long have we been at this now already?
We have been at this exactly 2 hours, 29 minutes, and 27 seconds.
Okay. For the 70 to 80, it fluctuates a little bit. How much torture are y'all willing to take? Because we're at this point. We last show, we were going to go into this deep dive on the technical part of this charter commission stuff. And we're at this point of going a little bit deeper. I mean, look, I've got plenty of energy in me and I can keep going on all this and go deep, deep, deep into this, because this is kind of getting into a part of it where you got to pay attention close and you got to listen hard, because there's some technical parts, and this gets into what Jeff Sadow 2 articles ago was writing about. We were going to get into it last show. We didn't. And we're at the precipice of kind of going deep into it. Do y'all want to go through it or not?
Well, let me make a suggestion, Mr. Lowry, because we are at the 2.5 hour mark. I do want to get into the fatal flaw comments here. And then my thinking was, but we can do whatever the folks want. My thinking
I don't want to do this halfway.
Well, that's what I was saying is
I want to do it right.
We'll end with the comments from Richard Ray on the Charter 2005, and then let's save the technical dive to be the first item on next Tuesday's show.
Well,
where we can spend a whole lot of time on
it. You got Lee Jeter talking about, the whole charter as a whole, which tells me that he hasn't done his homework. And look, I apologize to Mr. Lee about me beating up on you, but you know what? We've gave you enough grace up to this point. But the fact of the matter is you've not done your homework. Because if you'd done your homework, you would freaking know that you're not in the right place here, that you're wrong. So either you're ignorant of the fact that you're in the wrong place, or you're in the wrong place, which makes you doing the bidding of somebody else, which I'll let everybody else to define what that means. But
all right, let's hold that thought. Let's get through about another 2 minutes of conversation in this. Let's go ahead and wrap it up, because it's 9:32, so we've been at it for 2.5 hours. I think that's what we lead in basically about the first major topic on next Tuesday. Let's go into...
But here's the problem, Rex. If next Tuesday pans out the way I'm hoping that it's going to pan out, we may not get to this subject.
Well, if we put it first, we're going to get to it.
Well, I don't want to. Well,
I know.
Next Tuesday is going to be a big Tuesday if it works out the way that I'm thinking, but we're not going to get to this. It's not going to happen.
We will get to it. It's our show. We can do what we want. Maybe we'll do an extra Bossier Watch. It's our show. We can literally make whatever rules we want.
Oh, I know that, but I don't know if folks.
I think this is a topic worthy of about a solid hour, at least, to do the deep dive. If we do that, we're over 10:30, and I think we're gonna definitely lose more people than we already have. I mean, you're right. We still got. We're dropping.
Yeah, we've still got an hour to 2 hours of content regarding just specifically this subject to enlighten all of you a little bit more deeper on this charter commission thing. I mean, because
I no more debate about it. Let's do the couple of comments. We'll save that for the next show. Even if it works out and the other deal happens, we'll do a special episode if we have to.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So here we go. Colonel Crockett points out Sadow's article and a fatal flaw. So we want to hear this, and then one more comment. Y'all hang on, because you definitely want to hear this ending comment. Okay, here we go.
Sure. Quick, make it quick.
Jeff Sadow published an article and sent it out to everybody. Did y'all receive it? that was mailed through the Charter Commission website. Uncertain legality threatens Bossier City charter review. Basically, what it says is in the ordinance that was passed by the city, it says for you to make amendments to the existing charter, not to replace. It doesn't say replace the charter. And if you read the guidelines as we get to the section in 501, where it talks about it, and then if you wait till the very end of this process, when you get to section 21, it's going to define that process. And it's very clear if you follow the guidelines that's in the charter today. It talks about a process to amend the charter, not to replace it. And in the ordinance that was written for this group, it says to amend the charter. If that's the case, then each of your amendments has to be voted on. And that's why I think Shane's initiative a while ago made a lot of sense, because you don't want to put 20 things on a ballot. You may want to.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. Y'all catching what he's saying? That, according to Jeff Sadow, this whole process may have a fatal flaw. And that Shane was correct in what he was attempting to do, of course. But proceeding the way they're wanting to kind of proceed may have a fatal flaw, which we've kind of argued all along. And that leads a little bit more into what you're wanting to go into a deeper dive about.
Yeah, absolutely. And
right.
I mean, look, to everybody that's in the comments, I mean, Christopher Norris, I mean, thank you so much. Look, he's not the same ideology as us or political affiliation, but you know what? He agrees. He thinks that we're trying to move things in the right direction. I appreciate him staying in here and hanging in with us. And you know, he disagrees with us. He tells us what he thinks. We want to hear that. If y'all don't agree with us, we want to know that. Val Baker is here all the time. Val Baker, respect you immensely and appreciate your commentary. Melanie Worley, you know, in and out, appreciate the comments. I don't know that Bossier Watch has always been fair to the Worleys. I mean, got a little bit of regret in history there, but you know what? Hopefully we're making amends to that. Ann Price, long-term friend. I mean, she says, he was too busy passing out Soros money in Caddo. I don't know about that, but that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get to that on Louisiana Watch.
All right, so let me go ahead with Richard Ray's response to the Sadow deal and our kind of wrapping up soundbite from this.
If I may.
Yes,
the charter that we're working under in 2005, the current charter was adopted the exact same way of what we're doing right now, which is where the charter that we're working under was sent to the voters as an entire charter. There was a charter commission that made suggested changes to various sections. They sent the entire amended charter to the council. The council voted to put it to the vote of the people. The people voted, the people adopted it. We're going through the exact same process as they did in 05. Yes, I have read Dr. Sadow's article, and I respect him. He's one of my old professors. And he suggested in there that to be sure and to avoid future litigation, that we seek an outside opinion on that issue, which I have done. I've taken that recommendation. But I've also sought an outside opinion on when a vote is taken by this body, does it have to be by a simple majority or a 2/3 majority? But I don't have answers back on either one of those things. So when I do, I'll gladly share them. But I disagree with Dr. Sadow's premise that we can't do it this way. In fact, if he's correct, then the charter that we've been under since 05 is invalid, which is clearly not correct.
Now, it's Richard Ray's contention that, that's clearly not correct, but that brings up an interesting point.
It definitely does. Boy, I'll tell you, Bossier City, have y'all ever seen that map where it had Louisiana broke out into like descriptions of the regions, and it had Northwest Louisiana as nothing but a bunch of cowboys.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, we need to
agree with
find
that. I agree with that. Bossier City and we're nothing but a bunch of cowboys. We make the freaking rules up as we go. We're just a bunch of cowboys.
Yeah.
I agree with it.
It's nothing but tombstone all over. They're gonna go around and have the little red bandanas on them.
Well,
All right.
I will say next show. So, like, we're supposed to have, probably one of the most consequential guests on our show that maybe we've ever had. It's still a little up in the air, but what I would say is that if you're hanging in here now, you're gonna want to be here next Tuesday, because if this guest comes on the show, it's going to be a big deal, and it'll be the most consequential guest that we've had on Bossier Watch since we started this thing. It'll be our 200th show. You know that.
Wait, do I get to actually talk to Trump on the show? Is that what you're saying, Duke?
I didn't say a name of who was going to come on the show, but
see, I was trying to make you slip up.
We're just little guys. We're nobody. We're in the podcast media world or whatever. We're
little fish.
We're wannabes is what we are. But it doesn't matter. We're focusing on our community. We're focusing on trying to make things better in the way that we, it doesn't mean we're right, but we're trying to make it better. Right. That's what counts.
For 199 plus, really over 200 shows, we've been putting information out there, as we said, from day one, and then you get to decide. I think most folks can agree we've lived up to our deal about not really moderating the comments either. You can say what you want, and our only rule is keep it relatively civil, keep it relatively clean, because we do have, some teenagers and teeny boppers, a few of them that watch from time to time. So that's our only restriction.
Yeah, that's it. Policemen, firemen, y'all have got to get on the same page ASAP. ASAP. And you got to make a decision. You're at a crossroads. Time to do that. There's no better time now than any other time in Bossier City history to set public safety as the priority of Bossier City. Not monuments, not overpasses, not concrete and steel. Public safety. You guys got to get on the same page, and it's now or never. Now or never.
Yeah, you're right. All right, Mr. Lowry. So I put a little popcorn symbol by the term limit Sabotage, because we're going to continue term limits depending on the scheduling of next week's show. We may do a special episode just on continuing the term limits and continuing that discussion. We'll sort that out as we go. I would like to encourage y'all to stay tuned on Thursdays. We probably will have a guest lined up this Thursday. If not, I'll put a notice, because we're trying to keep Thursday nights with Louisiana Watch guest-centric, where if we don't really have a guest, we're typically not going to have the show, and sometimes the guests fall through, things happen. And then over on the outdoor news side, I've been doing mostly fishing stuff and some drama stuff, but we do have some more crawfish stuff to put up. I've got Gary Joyner from the Jackson Parish Watershed District Board coming on here next Monday. We're going to discuss Caney Lake and their equivalent of the Cypress District, only minus all the controversy. And I think we're going to try to get some wildlife and fisheries folks or whoever else we can lined up on the outdoor news and have some discussions about feathered friends and all sorts of things.
Yeah, and I have been working on, allegedly the new appointed Secretary of Wildlife and Fisheries is possibly going to do an interview for us on the outdoor news. That'll be fun, because I don't know that anybody else has really had an interview with the new secretary.
Yeah, so y'all make sure, and well, let's see, this logo way down here in the corner below Duke. Go find us, the Outdoor News, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and like and follow us on Facebook as well. Subscribe to the Bossier Watch YouTube channel. We are so close. We're going to start doing some advertising packages for potential sponsors. And Duke is going down slowly but surely.
Look, you see that
he's getting lower and lower.
That is Napa Valley behind me.
Yeah. Val Baker says, what day is the Outdoor News? I've kind of been doing them on Mondays. I did like 2 episodes last week with some high school fishing drama. I've got Gary Joyner scheduled to be on Monday. That's tentative so far, but Monday looks good for him. So we're going to try to do those Monday, but that could fluctuate a little bit, depending on the guests and all that, and who Duke gets lined up, also. So that'll kind of fluctuate. Hard and fast, Tuesdays on Bossier Watch.
Chris Norris says, I look forward to the next crawfish video. Chris, my apologies, because we have got a ton of crawfish content sitting there ready to go. Well, no, it's not your fault, because it's my fault as well, too. I mean, look, the reality is Rex and I both have lives, real jobs, and we have to pay the bills, too, and eat, and we got families.
But look, we're trying to slowly but surely change that. So, there's about 50-something people still watching. So we'll close out, and start wrapping it up with this. But we've kind of hinted around to the fact that we're trying to slowly but surely evolve to where we can do this full time, where it's providing us income. So in all seriousness, if any of you know any businesses or folks that would like to sponsor or advertise on the show, we're in the process of developing ad packages and turning this into a legit business. We're still going to be amateur journalists and generate some revenue from it, because look, just imagine 200 plus shows, how much time we spent just behind the camera, not to mention all the research. And the truth is, Duke does a lot of that. I do a lot of the tech stuff. It takes a lot.
Well,
and so,
just today alone, to give you guys an example, I know that Rex and I know that we both, before 8 o'clock, we're having our first cup of coffee. We're up, and by 8:30, we're working on show stuff all day up until today's show. Yeah. That's how much time today, and you know how much money we made? Zero.
Yeah. Oh, well, hold on a minute. Our good friend Ed Gonzalez did buy a hat, and he did buy a coffee mug. So we sold a hat and we sold a coffee mug, so we made about $6.
Well, thank you, Mr. Ed. I mean, but and the point is, we're not complaining to you guys. We're not. Don't take it that way. But we just want you to know that we sacrifice a lot of time we put a lot of time into this, and it's arguable. I would say Rex puts a hell of a lot more time into it than I do.
It varies from week to week.
Yeah, it does. But it takes a lot to do this stuff. And, we actually enjoy it. We wouldn't continue to do it if we didn't enjoy it. But it's not easy. It's really not.
Yeah, and it's time consuming, although we do enjoy it. And we're going to keep doing it either way. We're just going to try to, turn it into a semi-legitimate deal. Let me close out the show. Let me see if I can find Ed Gonzalez's picture with the Bossier Watch hat on. And
I need to see that.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let me go back and find. Oh, there we go. He's pimping the hat here. And so you have to understand, Dr. Ed Gonzalez is Puerto Rican, proudly Puerto Rican. There we go. There's Brother Ed. Put not only a Bossier Watch hat, I gave him a bonus Outdoor News hat. So hold on.
I like it, Mr. Ed.
Yeah. Let's see. I guess I shouldn't play the music because. Whoa. Sorry to blow the eardrums out, folks.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So, sorry
Okay,
to blow
okay,
the
okay.
eardrums out.
Now you're going to show Mr. Head, so you got to show I mean, look, I'm improving my game as well too. You got to show my video.
Oh yeah.
We,
All
we
right.
gotta get some feedback on my video.
Yeah, if I'm gonna risk not getting out of Facebook timeout by playing unlicensed music for that video. And now we'll show your video. All right. Let's see. Share screen. What do I need to do?
Okay, wait a minute. Before you show it, how many of y'all that are still hanging in there? I mean,
You've
I'm
got the
showing
video in the files. Okay. That's the bald tires deal, right?
Yeah, ball
Okay.
tires. It's got to be it. How many of y'all are in favor of inspection stickers on your car?
Oh, get rid of those blasted things.
You say out with the inspection stickers, right? That's where you're at, right?
Absolutely. Do away with those stupid things.
Okay. Chris Norris, you want inspection stickers? Val Baker, Ron Cheatham, you want inspection stickers on that Corvette of yours? I know you want them to inspect that Corvette.
Oh, yeah. All right. Here we go. We ready?
Let's do it.
Yes, ma'am. And one of the things that we actually teach in the academy is looking beyond the stop. And that's with anything, whether it's inspection sticker or speeding citation, or for the troopers to actually look for other things, whether it's human trafficking, signs of drug trafficking, just anything that would be out of the norm. But even as far as the inspection stickers go, there are things that we can't see just in passing, such as tires. When you start looking at the safety aspect of the things that are checked during those inspections, and the things that we deal with on a regular basis, rainy season, we work a lot of crashes, and the two primary factors for those crashes are excessive speed and, worn or bald tires. Those tires are things that, again, we can't see just in passing, and we don't usually run into it until we're actually coming to investigate a crash. I'm sure at some point in the rain that y'all have all been driving and you see the vehicles in the ditch or in the median, those things are usually called by those bald tires. And a lot of times their inspection stickers are either expired or they don't have one at all.
Me.
So.
Thank you.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
May I add something, Mr. Chairman?
Man.
We do have inspection stickers now, so if bald tires are the reason, then the inspection sticker is not the solution, because we already do that. And if that's happening, there's something else wrong.
Like a boss.
He was sitting there just so calm, cool, and collective, and like a boss.
Yeah. Can I add something to this? Wow. All right, folks. Look, we appreciate all of y'all watching, and we appreciate, let's see, that was Senator Bagley. Is that who that was?
Hat tip to Bagley. I mean,
okay.
You're the man. I don't agree with a hell of a lot he's done, but I got
the inspection sticker boss.
He was the bomb on that.
All right. So, yeah, we may have to post that video too on Bossier's Watch. Look, we appreciate everybody watching, y'all sticking with us nearly 3 hours tonight. There's a lot to cover. We've got a lot more to cover. Y'all know the drill about the emails. Make your Proton Mail account. If you have some anonymous information, send it to bossierwatch@protonmail.com. If you want to donate to the cause or purchase a coffee mug, or I do have a couple of hats left, go to bossierwatch.org or .com. And you can do all of that there. We look forward to everybody coming back next Tuesday night. Go to the YouTube channel. Even if you watch us mainly on Facebook, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel on Bossier Watch, Louisiana Watch, and the Outdoor News. Mr. Lowry, take us out of here.
Have a good night, folks. Enjoyed it. Thank you so much.